Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode here of the Trainer Spotlight. Today, we have another exciting episode. This one, I say this every time, but this one I'm really excited about because we have James from Z&G Emporium here with us. Why don't you say hello to everyone, James, and let everyone know if they haven't already seen you, where they can find you and who you are?
Yeah. We run, I say we because I have two employees, Cam and Brian. We basically run a kind of a YouTube channel. It's kind of lacking in content for a while now, for a couple of years, really, like the regular videos. But right now we run a consignment business where we will sell your graded cards for you on eBay. There are a lot of other YouTubers who kind of do the same thing consignment wise, or other, like platforms off eBay who will do it as well. So this is kind of our, business is what we're running right now. We do a podcast it's supposed to be every week, but we've had three blizzards in a row the past 3 weeks. No blizzard this week, so I think we're all past it. But usually I have a podcast where Cam and I will talk about whatever. It's usually ends up not being very market related. Uh, there's 1,000 channels about investing and market related stuff. So, we just kind of we see all these cards, 40, 50, whatever hours a week. So, it's just kind of our way of connecting with some people in the chat and just kind of rambling about whatever. And we also do once a week as well, we open up all the boxes live on camera that people send in to get their stuff consigned. So it's kind of a more personal level where we kind of open it right there. It also helps us because sometimes people will send in 200 slabs and it's not really well bubble wrapped. It's like, oh, well, this is cracked. And, just kind of tell them right up front what kind of happened there. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. It's kind of evolved over the years, kind of what I've been doing, in the, content creation or, business wise in Pokemon. But that's what I'm kind of doing currently. Yeah.
I think it's sort of underselling yourself a little bit, saying you've been not putting out much content, because I think what you're really referring to is the fact that you used to really pump out the content during COVID, because the Z&G Emporium, for those who don't know of Z&G as a brand, I feel like I've seen it grow from the little inception that it was of just James over here on eBay scrolling through listings and telling people how to make their flips just based on live what's there, the 20 or so people who were watching,
Yeah.
to what he is now described as the eBay consignment business that has now since grown. But a small little venture of your business that was sort of not a dark time of the business that we don't like to talk about is there was also the graded gem time, where you were also a middleman. So James has
Yeah.
also been involved in the hobby in another aspect, another very, very vital part of the hobby, middlemaning. That's a whole nother element of that's a whole nother can of beans. So it really is, I think, underselling yourself a little bit, saying you don't put out content, because you put out a lot of content. You still put out the weekly, the bi-weekly. And I guess maybe I'm saying that because I never put out content, so I feel like you put out a plethora of it. So the viewers on my channel are like, oh man, James is putting out a ton of content. What are you talking about here, man? This guy's putting it out like all the time. But that's
Yeah.
gonna change. But
It's more like, used to just kind of think about it all the time, kind of get that bug where it's like, okay, I need to think of an idea and I'm thinking about it all day. And then you put it down and you make a video, you know, where you just kind of think, and I just don't really, the job now is full time, Pokemon and other TCGs and selling it. So really, my whole day is, around this. Not just that, I might answer emails at night or the morning, and it's just kind of over the weekend. So it's just kind of a all the time thing. So I don't really to think of something around that. I'm like, I just don't. I'm just not. It's weird. Like when I was, really a lot more, in the nitty gritty, like going on eBay and doing like new searches, Pokemon, just all the time, and going out Craigslist buys and offer up and let go and all those kind of apps you go locally and
Grind set mindset, baby.
yeah, just all the time, just in it, on E4 all the time and just going deep down these weird little niche rabbit holes of different things that you didn't even realize, and watching a whole lot of Pokemon content around that. And I just I'm so like focused on the business aspect now that I'm just not. It's weird. It's like it's my whole time doing this, but I feel like the most kind of disconnected from it at the same time. I don't really know how to describe it. It's kind of like I like the stuff that comes in. It's cool to see it. But at the end of the day, it's taking in an item, selling it, doing a whole lot of, behind the scenes, business stuff, controls, employees, payroll, payout structures and, taxes. And it's a whole lot of just business wise, where it's just, I'm not really in the know as much anymore, which kind of sounds strange because I'm dealing with a whole lot of market stuff. So when I think about content, it's like, well, I kind of in the back seat now. Like it's like a 30,000-foot view where it's like I don't even feel like I should put out anything because I'm like, there's just nothing for me to, who, I'm just sometimes I watch like PK streams and I'm like, man, this guy is like really, he kind of reminds me of how I was like years ago. He's like real deep. He's thinking about it all the time. It's just, he's kind of, obsessed about it,
He's
which was,
obsessed, man.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
obsessed.
he is,
He's at
which is
his
good.
desk.
Yeah,
At work, obsessed. I love
yeah,
him. I love him
yeah,
for it.
yeah. And I was like that. And I was just kind of, obsessed about it. I wanted to create, but now it's just a different, part of the journey where I'm just not as much in it. So I'll just be more of a consumer than like someone who puts it out. But yeah, it's been
You provide
interesting.
a service to the hobby, though. You may not be pumping out what you consider to be like content, like all these other content creators, or what you consider yourself to put out as your style of content. But what you're doing for the hobby, like providing the service that you do, allowing them to dump their bad decisions and their slabs for a very fair and reasonable rate. Shout out Z&G Emporiums, link down below to the eBay, to the so you can go and consign your slabs, because what James has transitioned to doing, what I think he's sort of alluding to, is he's gotten away. It sounds like you've kind of gotten away from being actively involved with your own sort of flipping, and now you're just helping everyone else with their flipping. And so while I can see how that maybe is feels like you're a step away from it now, is kind of what I'm hearing a little bit more.
Yeah, because I
But it's a
really,
very useful service, though. So let's not discount the fact that what you're doing is fantastic, because I don't know what sort of, satanic ritual you had to do to get the rates that you did with eBay to be able to offer that, or what type of a loss you're taking having employees and everything. But we greatly appreciate it, everyone in the hobby. So
yeah, it's like a not, the buy. Like I'm trying to think of the last thing I bought, and it's
it's probably
I,
Ancient Mew, if I know you. Is it?
true. I did buy some, like Cam showed me some like Facebook thing, and but that was a while ago.
I'm pretty sure you put an Ancient Mew in front of you, a bundle of 100 Ancient Mews in front of you, you start salivating a little bit at the.
That was like that must have been like 6 months ago, I think. I mean, at least that I did that. I'm trying to look at I'm looking through eBay right now, like purchases. I'm trying to
but
find the
but that
last.
being said, I will say that it's a sort of a brilliant move. Like I understand wanting, like seeing the transition of Z&G Emporium, of sort of on YouTube, your public move into the hobby. We saw you go from that flipper, that sort of flipper we were talking about, just sort of grinding every day, buying and selling and grading and doing what we're all doing, to essentially middlemaning with the graded gym, which was sort of taking yourself out of that flipper element and allowing other people sort of to do that, and then just kind of helping provide a service, right? It's, mind you, a grueling service. Very, and I know how inputting cards can be. I don't middleman, but I do a lot of grading. So like just
Yeah.
putting in hundreds of cards is just, it's grueling. And putting in other people's cards, I can only imagine. And
Yeah.
so going from that to then sort of selling in a consignment service and allowing that, that service for other people who don't want to necessarily do the grind work of listing, having the feedback and dealing the customer service, shipping, just dealing with the actual grind of listing on eBay and regular auctions that will actually sell for the highest potential amount. You've really slid in and occupied and provided great services. Well, like you said, Rusty provides it. Our school, old school, or our friend, old school Pokemon provides it. Those consignment
Yep.
services. It's interesting because I've seen you scale up quite a bit here. Just, and not even talking about the new employees that you've talked about adding, but you've scaled up quite a bit relatively quickly, and it's really impressive to see. So I hope to
Yeah.
see that sort of growth continuing, and I'm sure that you probably feel the same way. But I honestly do hope to see that continue because it could only get better, really, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we're thinking about, it's the hardest thing with something like this, like getting bigger, is like scaling correctly. And when we introduced, we used to be like 17.5%, last year, and this year, January 1st, we started at 13.9%. If it's over 100, if it's under, there's another $5. That's why we'd have a billion junk slabs at once, but then just kind of throttle it. But that's kind of the throttling is what we scaling correctly is kind of which is kind of weird, like the biggest worry. It's like if we accept this or that, it's like we don't accept sealed product because there's chances of people sending in reseals, and that's a whole issue that I don't really want to handle. Or it's like, oh, you could accept sports, and it's like I can't pull that lever because it's just, number one, it's not really interested in sports cards, but number two, it's
Sports
10 times,
nerds.
it's 10 times, I don't even know, 50 times the market. Who knows if one old guy with, he has 10,000 slabs in his closet, and he's like, okay, I'll just, here you go, 1 week. So just kind of scaling correctly. When we introduced that new rate, it was like, okay, let's see what kind of happens. And it's exciting because you don't really know, what kind of stuff you try to introduce and what it's gonna really bring. I mean, with like Graded Gem, it was, I was talking to Connor in like May of 2020 about him opening they were the biggest UK, or I think all of Europe, grading middleman. And they're like, they want to open a hub in US, and he's like, we'll probably have 1,000 cards the first in August, and it was 9,000. And he's like, okay, well, it'll probably be two the next month, and it was 10,000. Then it was 20. Then it was, I think November, it was 50,000 cards at once. And so I've learned. Grail Gym taught me a lot, like how, because I saw how they kind of, I mean, they had like 15 employees. For better for worse, they got slammed, and I kind of saw how scaling not properly can really just destroy a lot of customer service, and you're just working like crazy. So I've been very, very cautious to like pull a lever every once in a while, and then just we'll see where it goes, and then we'll kind of readjust. And once we get into a rhythm, then we can see about introducing new stuff. But yeah, it's been quite a journey from where I started in like 2017, kind of the back into Pokemon. So
No, we have
yeah.
to take it back. Take it way back to the early days, and ask the next question in the podcast here, and see what actually got you into Pokemon. Then, now we talked a little bit about the Graded Gym and all of the business, but let's go back a little farther now. And what is it that let's do the thing. Let's do the thing. What got you into Pokemon? I'm curious to hear the story.
Uh, well, like the original Pokemon, in 1999, I was just, I was a pretty, I was a pretty shy kid, and I really liked, I think as a shy kid, a Game Boy is kind of like your best friend because it's like, just you with a, you don't have to have a multiplayer, you just put in the game cartridge and you can go wherever you want and play it wherever you want. And you know, I was I had the original Game Boy, I had color, Game Boy Advance, SP, DS. I was, all about the Game Boy. And I think it was just introduced to me in I think it was like fifth grade or something in 1999. And I just played the game, Pokemon Red, and I just played like I want to say it was like 400 hours. I think I remember the time thing it had on there. I tried to get the Mew, couldn't get it. In those days, you did the dial-up internet and you tried to figure out the forums on trying to figure out how to do everything, but got everybody to level 100. Basically did everything I could in that could in that game. Um, and then got into somewhere along the lines in that same year, got into cards. Didn't get many. I mean, I was, how old was I then? I don't know, 11, 12, something like that. So I didn't really have like a job or anything to get at. So it's just kind of relied on my mom to occasionally buy a pack here or there. It's usually just base set two, and some like fossil, I remember. And then remember some Rocket, some Neo Destiny. I got my binder back to me, and this is when I got back into it in like 2017.
Mhm.
And I had like Legendary Collection too, and I do not remember opening Legendary Collection at all. Like it just did not. It's just I was like, well, I don't remember opening those at all. So I guess apparently Legendary Collection was my last set that I did, which I think it was 2000. Was that 2002?
Think it
I
was
think
two or
was Legendary Collection.
three, one of the two.
Yeah. Definitely didn't never got to E series. Actually do remember E series because I do I did like do Game Boys all the time, and I had the actual reader
And
that
you
you
actually
plugged.
had one of these?
Yeah, I definitely did have one of those,
Oh
and
man, that's crazy.
I like swiped the Game and Watch thing and played the Game and Watch game and swiped. I swiped a few. I must have. I don't have them, but I must have had because I remember swiping a few, and I remember saying, "Well, this is really dumb. This is really stupid."
Yeah,
Um,
it
you
was
know,
a good idea.
yeah, they were throwing some gimmick. They were trying anything to save Pokemon at that time.
And we didn't
You
even
know,
know anything about grading, and it was a bad idea then. It was dumb back then.
yeah,
Think about if we knew about grading, it'd just be cringing every time,
yeah, I know. It was yeah. I did that, and I was like, man, this is real dumb. Um, but um, but yeah, that's got into cards and really took care of them. I actually even like the first 100 hollows I had, I laminated them, which was a really stupid idea. That I
Oh,
thought that
dude,
would
you're one of those kids. I
yeah, I was
have
one of
some
those
of
kids.
those.
Yeah,
I got some of those out of collections. I thought it was parents who did that.
no, I did it.
Wow. I was
Yeah.
blaming like parents, overprotective parents who wanted, their kids wanted sleeves, but they had sleeves at home.
Oh
So they
no,
got
I
sleeves at home.
I had it in a sleeve and a binder, and I
Whew.
was like, you know what? I need a extra layer. I need to get so I like asked for like Christmas the two like the actual like sheets of the double-sided lamination. I put them in and I cut it out with
That's
scissors.
kiss. Yep.
Yeah, did
Heat press.
yeah, Dark Charizard. I remember doing that. And Dark
Yummy. That's
Raichu,
great.
base
Yeah.
set two Charizard,
They're
all mint.
protected now. You protected them
Yeah,
forever.
yeah. I protect them forever.
That's
That's for sure.
fascinating.
No scratching on those, but
It's priceless.
yeah. Um,
As in a price no one will pay
yeah,
any price for that.
nobody
It's
wants them.
priceless.
It's like the inked cards I bought one time from, anyway, I still have those CGC inked cards, which are basically worthless.
Green
But
label,
yeah,
low pop, low pop.
yeah, love pop.
Low
Yeah,
pop, low pop.
I yeah, but I did the video. I did Pokemon Red, Pokemon Silver, which was the best generation to me was Pokemon Silver. That was kind of the pinnacle. Did
Hmm.
Pokemon Ruby too, and then that kind of sucked, and I was like, ah, that sucks. And then I just left after Pokemon Ruby and have not. I don't think I've played a Pokemon game since. I plugged in. I had. I think I started Sun or Moon, whichever the one. I like plugged in, and like the first cutscene was so long that I just couldn't. I was I like the first like the first. I guess I'm just, as
Like,
a
I'm
child
out.
you can, as a child you can play 400 hours of game, and it's like you can just keep going. But as an adult, I'm like, okay, I'm done with that. But I used to love, as a kid, like all the cuts. I was never a kid that like cut the cut scenes. People who like press A, it's like get past it. I like wanted to watch the whole thing and be immersed. Now I'm just like, but that's why you get nostalgia, You remember those, can you if if you're like, hey, I'm gonna do whatever it is, and I'm gonna spend 400 hours doing it, like you would be I don't know if it's like, hey, I'm gonna do 400 hours at the gym, okay?
Be
You're
done
gonna
with it.
you're gonna be ripped, okay? You're gonna be, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with that time, but yeah, so I left. I guess it was 2002, I guess, because that's the Legendary Collection and Pokemon Ruby. I think Pokemon Ruby is actually like 2003, so maybe it was around 2003. But then I
I
left,
left
and
even before you did, technically. So I don't
yeah,
know whether Ruby was three or when, because I don't
yeah,
remember that one.
yeah. So it's like 99 to 2003. It was about a 3 or 4 year period. Got to high school, it wasn't cool anymore.
You mean the
So
girls and your friends weren't like they weren't all praising you for your likes of
no,
Pokemon
which
and
I don't
things?
even know why I cared, because I really didn't. I had probably two or three close friends. I wasn't, who cares? Like I wasn't cool anyway, so I didn't really know why I cared. Um, but yeah, just that was it until it was like it must have been early 2017, late 2016. I don't know. I was on YouTube, and it actually came to 2016, me and my girlfriend at the time, but like a year later we got married. We bought a house, and I think it was like folding clothes. And then I was like, I'll just watch YouTube while I do it. And I don't even remember watching YouTube before that, except for like I used to run a lot, and I would like listen to stuff that was on it. But I think I got to like a Rudy video for some reason, and he had like 300 subscribers at the time. And I remember like saying to Lauren, I was like, "Oh, this guy's gonna be a star right here. I just know it." For some reason, it like also suggested other MTG people, which I don't know. I clicked on a few. I didn't like care, but then it like suggested also Pokemon things. Uh, uh, and I don't know if Gem and Pokemon came first or Rudy, but one of the two. Both of them were like introduced at the same time, and I was like, oh wow, and he's grading stuff, and I don't really know about grading at all, like ever. And it's like
Mhm.
this is a thing, So I kind of went
Yeah,
down that
yeah.
rabbit hole, and he was like, oh yeah, and I go to E4 a lot, and I was like, what is that? I went on there and just started kind of rediscovering it, from there, and just saw him buying stuff and selling stuff. And I was like, oh, let me just check kind of, is there stuff around here that I can buy this stuff? And this kind of vintage stuff. And obviously you can't, like go to Amazon and find vintage stuff. So, I would like go locally, and I was like, oh, let me look at Craigslist. And I remember Craigslist, I think it was, I want to say it was early 2017. I saw this guy with a base set box, and it was like $700, I want to think, or like, I don't know, $600, $700. And I remember telling Lauren, I was like, oh man, this is 700, but I was like, on eBay, it's like 800. I was like, man, I can make like $100 right there. That's pretty nice. But it was 700. It was like, it was like, I can't imagine spending $700 on a Pokemon item, It's ridiculous.
Pokemon, like the
Yeah.
cards,
Yeah. The guy's like,
like the
yeah.
Pokemon
I
cards,
I don't think I could, convince
like the games
Lauren to
people
do
play
that
on their
either.
phones. That
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. And I
2016. We're talking about.
yeah. So I didn't buy it, but I saw it
Of
was
course
like,
not.
yeah. But then it was like sold, and I was like, ah, that's a shame. But then like every month it was like 800, then it was 900, then it was 1,000, and it was 1,100. It's like, what is going on? It's like, man, that was kind of a missed opportunity. Let me look at other stuff. So I bought like a collection of like it was like evolutions cards. There's a whole bunch of full arts and like the stuff that I'd never even I didn't even know what it was.
The
It was
good
like
stuff.
two. I met some guy. Yeah, the good stuff. Yeah, met some guy at a gas station and bought it for $200, and it was like I don't know. I think I made like $5. I flipped it for like 205. I was like, I need to get out of this. I don't care about this stuff at all. I made like $5, and it was like that's kind of nice, It's $5 is $5, and back then in 2017, $5 could get you a lot further,
Yeah, get a
Um,
McDouble for that.
yeah, well, a few at that
Couple,
time,
couple
you know,
McDoubles. That's right.
yeah, a few, probably three or four at
Yeah.
that time. But yeah, I just kind of started doing here and there kind of stuff. Mostly on Craigslist and OfferUp. That was the good stuff in Phoenix. Let Go was just kind of a scamsville. And
That was the whatnot of its time. Let go.
yeah, it was a lot of scammers on Let Go. But OfferUp was and I was very lucky to be in Phoenix, like the fifth biggest city in America, and there was a whole lot of stuff just constantly being posted. Like sometimes we would go on vacation, like my wife lives in like a small town in Indiana, and I'd go there and I'd be like, oh, let me check
Oh, you
OfferUp, and
didn't
it'd be
look for
like,
Pokemon on vacation with
oh
your
yeah, of
wife.
course, of
Your
course,
poor wife.
grind set mindset. So I like looked and I was like, oh, there was like one posting in a month, and it's like, man, that is dry here. So I got kind of lucky where I was at the time to where I could kind of build from there because it was constantly. It was like every hour there was something new just listed, or every few minutes. It
Honey,
was
we need to go to
crazy.
Des Moines, Iowa. We have to go on vacation to Iowa. Trust me, it's a great
Yeah.
place to go.
Yeah.
Why? Well, no, we got to go just on
Yeah.
a Monday after 6 o'clock.
Oh, I started becoming a real degenerate. I started doing like would put like zip codes of other things and OfferUp to be like, okay, wow, there's something in there's something in Iowa over here. Let's
Yeah,
how big is this
we
collection? And
we
then so
played the
let me message him.
Craigslist and other area codes games. We've definitely
Yeah.
played that game before. I
Yeah.
hear you. I
Yeah.
hear
And it's
you.
like, where's do you do PayPal? Can you just
Yep,
send,
yep.
let's just you don't need to meet me in person. You
Goods
can
and services.
yeah, the goods and services,
It's
you'll be
legit.
protected. Yeah, it's legit, not a big deal. Look at how many stars I have on OfferUp. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so yeah, just kind of evolve from there. And all the stuff after that first purchase of Modern, which I just kind of got rid of, it's like this is just I have no interest. I just fully went into vintage, and ever since, that's just all I've really cared about. It's not like I don't see the value in Modern. I just don't. If I'm in it, I need to care about it at least a little. Like I've told Cam before, it's like, I mean, we could be selling I don't know, mouse pads. It doesn't yeah, there it is. He just sold one of those
A one?
at auction. Or I think I might have one up right now. I can't remember.
No, you didn't sell one of these. There's only two of these, James. This
Oh,
is low
what
pop. This is a
is that
population.
is that a poor one?
This is a PSA one. That's a pretty rad one,
Uh,
James.
did you damage that on your own? Did you sacrifice it?
That is a special Grail card that came to
Okay.
me damaged in such a way that I couldn't have replicated. And so
Mm,
PSA encapsulated it for all to behold now as a pretty rad one. So now
okay.
there are only two of them.
There's another. There's
There's
another one.
there's another. You've seen Star
Wow.
Wars. There's
Wow.
another.
There's another.
Yeah. Yes,
Wow.
exactly. So don't worry. If something happens to this one, there's one more. You don't have to worry.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know you
Okay.
were
Yeah,
sitting
I
up at
was
night.
yeah, I was pretty worried about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we yeah, I have to like it if I'm gonna be flipping it, because it also keeps you engaged to learn more about stuff and keep going deeper down these kind of you know on the sixth page of E4, which I haven't really visited E4 in like honestly years, but I used to be on all the time. Um, but you have to really like it, because I mean, like, I could be, instead of consigning this, I could be consigning, I mean, look at, just type in reseller on YouTube. I mean, there are these guys that sell everything, it doesn't really matter.
Hand
Um,
sanitizer, formula,
yeah,
baby formula,
yeah,
diapers. You could sell all kinds of
you could do
ethically
anything.
plausible things.
You could flip literally anything. There's anything. You go to I mean, there's stuff, free section on Craigslist or whatever. You just,
But
it
you gotta
doesn't
like
matter.
what you're doing, though. No, it's what, and I get that. But I do want to ask you another thing, though. Speaking of liking what you're doing, I see you got a bunch of video games there over on the shelf
Mhm.
next to you. I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to ask if you were into anything else, considering we've been talking about Pokemon a bunch, but do you have any other hobbies or anything that the world should know about? Are you hiding a video game addiction over there? Or what's that all about?
Well, for like a period of, I don't know, at least a year and a half, I was really like, I was just searching through eBay, like the last Pokemon purchase, and they were all video games until I think it was, yeah, April 10th of 2022 was the last time I bought something Pokemon on eBay. But so it's been, about a year. But mainly it was a lot of video games. I kind of fell down that rabbit hole. When I was returning so many, we submitted here in the UK, or not UK, US Graded Jam. We submitted 128,000 cards in 6 months, and it was just
Damn.
card after card. Mid-grade WotC, 6 sevens, 6 and 7s, couple eights. There's
Oof.
modern. It was just card after card, 100,000. That's a lot of cards to look through. And at the same time, we were consigning and bringing in a lot of stuff, and it's every once in a while, it's a cool item comes through. It's like, oh yeah, cool, but mostly it's 90 something percent the same thing, kind of over and over again. So to kind of break it up, and I got into Pokemon with video game, that was how I got into it. And I think if you look at Pokemon, it's probably considered a video game, not a card game. Or I'm guessing most of their money is probably merchandise,
It's
honestly.
merchandise, yeah. There's
Yeah.
just a chart that I saw that was posted in a Discord today that had like all the money that was raked in from the IPs, and Pokemon makes a majority of it from its merchandise.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of went into that because I really, like I said, I did 400 hours on there. I probably did in Super Smash Brothers Melee, probably, boy, I think one time on the GameCube, and this was in college, so it's even more than this, but I think it tracked how long you played the game. And I want to say it was like, it was in days. So I think it was like 35 days of, times 24 hours times, and then it's probably, I remember it saying you played 99,999 verse matches go outside. I remember that's something that popped up when you actually hit that.
Who was
But
your
that was
character in Melee?
DK,
DK.
Donkey
Okay, I
Kong.
was a Marth
Yeah.
player.
Yeah. Well, you were much better. I was a really crappy player, but
I
no,
wouldn't
but
say I was better, but I played a lot. I played
I
a whole lot.
yeah, I know Marth is one of those, you can be competitive
He's
play
good.
with
I thought he
March
was
with
very good.
Marth. Yeah. But DK is just garbage. But I like that he could wind up and just have a punch ready to go. That was my biggest thing. So I just go around and, kind of do that. I was always just pure offense,
Mhm.
kind of like Pokemon. I don't get those people that's like, oh, I'm going to use poison, and I'm going to use, I'm going to use this, after effect. So I do, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no,
Double team. Sand,
yeah,
yeah, sand
yeah.
attack, sand
No, no,
attack,
no. I need all my
fire
four attacks,
blast,
the
fire
arrow
blast.
blast, hyper beam,
Yeah, solar
earthquake.
beam.
Yeah, solar beam kind of sucked,
Yeah,
but
you got to charge it
yeah,
up a whole turn. That's no good. Nobody likes
yeah,
that. I'd
that
rather
was
have
like,
a cooldown than a charge up.
yeah, that was really lame. Plus, it was like grass, and who cares? I had Venusaur too. It's extremely disappointing. I was one of,
Extremely disappointing. It's just like the
yeah.
card.
It's like
Just
everybody
like the
has
card.
everybody has Charizard, so I'm gonna be the edgy kid with the grass type, so I'm weak against him. But it was a mistake. I
Ooh,
picked
shots
Typhlosion, and
fired to anyone who picked Venusaur out
I
there.
picked the
Damn.
I picked the fire type in the second, like silver. I picked Cyndaquil.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
But yeah,
Cyndaquil was the superior starter in
yeah,
those games for sure.
yeah. It's but yeah, the video games. I mean, it's like only 400 hours. And I played thousand. I played, you get so there, everybody, usually if you're in this kind of thing, you have a video game, you've played it for so long, you have such kind of memories of it that it brings kind of a nostalgic pull that not really cards bring to you. I mean, how long, I mean, like 400 hours on Pokemon Red, like how long have you looked at your most prized card, uh, minutes, probably isn't an hour total over, um, so it's just a different level of, I think, nostalgia and tie to it. So that's why I kind of got into it. I got my kind of Grail piece though, like about a year in. It took me a year to find a first print melee copy, and it came back in, well, not perfect, a 9.8. A 10 is technically perfect, but
It's basically perfect in water terms,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Then it's the highest rated copy. There's no other ones that are 9.8, the first print. So that kind of dampened my. It's like I got it, so I'm like, all right, well, that's it. I kind of got it. So I'm kind of that's it. Um, Kind of felt that way with getting like the base set first edition box too. It's like I got it, then I sold it, to Logan Paul, and that was, right around there. I was Ungraded Jam, so it's like I had it, sold it, and then was just kind of in the not service industry, but you know what I mean. Like it
I,
was more of not flipping. It was more of a business of,
I get what
you
you're
know,
saying though about like getting the grail and then letting it go. And at
yeah,
the same time, I have to stop there and I'm obliged to ask what it was like selling the base set box to Logan Paul. While I know you've probably done this on many different channels, I have to hear your experience, what it was like doing that. And for anyone who's listening, James, how did you get in touch with this? What was this? You had a base set first edition box. Who's Logan Paul? What is this for? Like
you mean
this
Paul
situation? I
Logan?
think I've heard of that guy before, but
Yeah.
enlighten us, please, about the situation, just in whatever way you'd like to do.
Yeah, that was what I really, and I was saying like Pokemon Silver was my big, game. I love that game more than really any other one in that time frame. I really think Game Boy Advance Golden Sun is probably, my favorite game, but that's just video game talk. But as for Pokemon, I think it was Pokemon Silver. But so I was really into the Neos, right?
Mhm.
And I used a lot of my buying and selling and flipping money, and I did a lot of, in like 2019 I started a YouTube channel, and I got really lucky in there too, is where I sent like Rusty bought a pack, and I had like 50 subscribers, and those were all because I would just sell something on eBay and I'd write a message on every single person who bought it and say, hey, if you want to see this item packed and shipped on YouTube, here's my YouTube channel. And I had to talk to like 3 levels of customer service at eBay to like make sure I could send a link into messages, because they don't like to send outside. But I'm like, they bought the item, I'm just showing them that, and they're like, okay, fine. So I got like 50 subscribers out of that. Just people who were like, oh, I like to see. And nowadays, like, there are channels that like just package up candy or package up video games, and they get millions of kind of views on that. But yeah, so that's kind of grew out. And then Rusty bought something, I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was like I can't remember what it was, but I sent it to him and I said, oh, if you shout out my channel, that'd be cool. But otherwise, no big deal. I really appreciate, all the stuff, all the content you put out, and blah, 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 groveling at Rusty's feet. Um, and he did. He's like, oh yeah, and show this YouTube channel. I went from like 50 to 250 at that time. And then I got really lucky again. I was breaking open I had unweighed Neo Genesis packs, first edition, and Rhymestyle bought a pack, and he opened one and got the Lugia, and he was like
Oh my
shouting out, you
God.
need to follow it. And then he got a
Yeah.
PSA 10 of it, which was even more like he was really excited. He bought a Team Rocket pack and got the Dark Charizard. So I got really lucky. The stuff I sent a guy who has, a million subscribers,
And a
Like he
nice guy
opened,
too, just the
yeah.
nicest guy.
Oh yeah. He's actually right now has a lot of his items on consignment, some really nice stuff that end on Sunday. But so he
He's in
uses us
California too.
too.
He's in our
Yeah,
area. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I need to go there someday and visit him. He's not that far away. But yeah, he opened it and he shared, and I went from like 250 to 1,000 in like a day, and I was like crazy because now is you can like monetize. It's like, oh, you get a few bucks here, and actually put that stuff, and you're actually not, I'm not saying someone who has less than 1,000 is not an official YouTuber, but it feels more, uh, you know,
Yeah, when we hit 1,000, it felt a lot more official.
yeah,
And I get that. Like, I don't know what it is about that, like that 1,000 or even the 100. Like when you're below, it's a round number kind of thing.
yeah,
You just want to hit that next plateau. It feels
yeah,
like so. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I would just kind of keep, and then that kind of built a trust. It takes forever to build a trust, as it should. People like selling unweight packs, and kind of building that relationship with everybody. So he brought a lot of people, and then I would kept breaking open boxes. I broke open probably 10, 15 first edition Neo Genesis boxes. They always sold out. Rocket boxes, probably a dozen. I don't know. But I took all that, I would probably make 10 to 15%, on every single box, after fees, like kind of the profit I would make. And I would just push that into like my own Neo boxes. So I ended up accumulating like two Neo Destiny first edition boxes, two Neo Revelation, three Neo Discovery first edition, and like I don't know, one Neo Genesis. I don't know. I like had all four of them factory sealed. It was great. It had multiples of it just in case.
just
And
in
then
case need an
I
extra Neo box.
just in
Never
case
know,
want to do another box break, and I was
you
like,
lose a box.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so then I know it's a long rambling story to get to it, but I
No,
want
this
to
is
kind of like,
what we wanted to hear. This is
yeah,
perfect.
just
Like
kind of want
it,
to build the,
yeah.
yeah, so the main, Grail was the first edition base box. And it was like,
It took some flipping to get there. You don't
it took,
just get to a first edition base box, even in
no,
2019. So that's
no,
yeah, folks,
yeah,
that's what we're getting to here.
yeah. So it took a few years. It took, started in 2017. It took about 2.5 years, something of just flipping, and then got all those Neo boxes. And then one was listed on eBay by David Adams Card World, who was selling a box that they got from a guy who had every single box, and they had sold through most of the other boxes. He had every single box from first edition base all the way through the whatever the newest set in 2019 was. And he just sold, they had like a picture of him, and he had all the boxes, and it was kind of a crazy collection. But he was, I guess, consigning through them, or maybe they bought the collection and they were flipping. I'm not sure what they were doing, but they had that box listed. And I reached out, and I had bought quite a few boxes off David Adams over the years to break open. David Adams is kind of weird. Like their pricing was like sometimes not what the market was. Like they didn't move fast enough. So sometimes you kind of have an arbitrage thing where they thought the price was $500 less than it was selling at. At the time, it's like, okay, well, get that. I'm going to make that little gap and then a little more for the thing. So I would actually done quite a bit of business and had the main guy's phone number there who kind of overran the thing. And I was like, I texted him like, so that box, would you, consider trade? Because I know you're a business. It's a lot easier to sell 8 Neo boxes, breaking them up versus one, someone who's wanted to spend at the time. I think it was like 75,000 it was listed on eBay for.
Mhm.
And he's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. He's like, you can give me the Neo boxes plus like 20,000. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm fine. I like Neo. I don't have to have it. It's fine. And then like, I was like a few weeks later, and he's like, you still want to do that? So I'm guessing maybe they wanted to kind of get, and as you get into this for like years and you are kind of buying and selling stuff, you realize, and I've realized that too, sometimes when you have an item in your collection that's worth a whole lot, or is worth a lot of your capital, it's sometimes hard to keep on to it because there's a lot of opportunities that you're just going to miss
Yep.
because you have this really cool item, but it's also taking most of what you can work with, you know? So it's
Mhm.
kind of a, a double-edged sword, especially with something like David and Card World. They're literally just, they just want the profit and move on, right? They're not collecting it. They're not just showing it off on eBay. Like, SM Pratt shows a $4 million card he'll put on his eBay that he's no intention of really selling unless someone, is just wants to pay $4 million. They want to move it, move on. So yeah, he said, yeah, let's do it. And then, I had a pretty good relationship with them. So I sent them, and they're a much bigger, I'm just a single guy and they're $100 million company. I sent them all the Neo boxes first.
Mm-hmm.
They got it confirmed, and then they packaged and shipped me the base set box. So I had that box. Really, it was probably about 50 something $1,000 that I had the box for, and I bought it for in like October of 2019. And I had full intentions of holding on to it for a long time. Then I knew, I had the top thing, but then literally one year and 1 day later, I sold it because Pokemon got crazy. It started actually really getting traction in, like, I don't know, March, April of 2020. I mean, it wasn't like late 2020 when the real, boom happened. It really started picking up there. And I think he opened a box. I can't remember when it was, August, September. I don't know. He opened a box and it went crazy, and he sold out all the packs, and he got 10 million plus views, and he put out some Instagram posts, and he's like, oh, I'm looking for more. And I was like, let me just I like took it out. We had like a little safe. I took it out, put it on the grass and fake grass in Phoenix. I took a picture of it. I'm like, oh, here, Lauren, why don't you just post this and say, hey, like, it was just kind of it wasn't even a real thing. It was just like, hey, do you want this? Question mark, maybe a little googly eyes. You want this? Just post that. And then he like immediately because I don't even know the password for my Instagram. It's all just run by Lauren. I don't, I get enough messages on eBay and email. And so she's like, oh, wow. He replied, and it was like, oh, geez. And then he was actually interested. And then we did a lot of kind of back and forth. He's not, you'd think someone who has a lot of money like that and knew that he would probably make a lot of money on each box wasn't so like negotiating. You think it'd be like, here's a price and
He
pay
tried to
it.
lowball you real good, didn't
He worked on me for like a good week, and he would send like text and like video text, where he'd be like, kind of talk about it. And then, he's like, oh, it's pretty steep, but doable, pretty steep, but maybe doable. He'd be kind of this back and forth kind of salesman talk. I was like, I'm just this is not, that's just what it is. And like Lauren was like, we should just sell for, I think he wanted like 310 or 315 he came up to. And I was like, I know it's stupid, but I was like, this guy is going to make a million. He's going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars on this. He can pay an extra 10. And that's kind of something I don't know. I think when you're selling stuff, you kind of have to read the room a lot. And I think some people just kind of like, they see a number and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna take that. There's, no doubt about it. But, later, so he bought that box, and later he put out a video where he bought other boxes, and, he bought some for like 350, so he'd be willing to, go up even more on that. I think I was actually the lowest box that he sold. I think the collector's cash was like 330 something. I think Rusty's box, which was opened, he opened it and then like taped it, was like 350. And so, whatever. We went there to California. It was peak COVID though. This was October of 2020. So it was a little hard. He was like, I can like fly you out here. And I'm like, we don't want to take a plane. I had a 4-month-old, and it was just but I didn't want to ship it. I had it was, I didn't want to ship it either, especially during COVID time. A lot of people weren't, these shippers just didn't even want to like talk to you or knock on a door. So we drove to California, and went to his house. And it was a very quick thing because once again, this COVID time, and it's like, people, and and we had a newborn and didn't want to do that. So it was a pretty quick thing. He opened it, just filmed a few seconds, and then kind of left. It was funny though too. I had talked, we were all under NDA until he made the video, so I couldn't ever talk about it. But I talked to Rusty, and he kind of hinted at it that he had sold it, and I kind of hinted at it, but we knew we couldn't really say anything to each other. But I knew because I drove there, and he's like, oh, do you know Rusty? I'm like, Logan Paul, and I'm like, yeah. It's like, yeah, I know Rusty. He's like, yeah, he shipped it here, the FedEx, and he's like, they just left it outside the gate. He's like, good thing we got security cameras, but they just literally left a $350,000 item outside the gate. Didn't even knock. Didn't even. I was like, well, that's why I'm here, because I wasn't gonna trust, especially at that time they weren't even getting your signature, even if you had signature required. Uh, so
They
it's funny
still
because
don't to this day.
yeah, they're still, yes, sometimes they still don't, but it's funny because Rusty and I knew about it for like, because I don't think he released a video until like February of 2021 or something, or so it was like 4 months that Rusty and I kind of knew that each other sold it, but couldn't really say anything. That was kind of a funny dynamic. But yeah, sold it there. Sold it for 325,000. That was, I bought it for 70 the year before, and you can't not. I mean, maybe if you have a whole lot of money that you could, but I couldn't. I could pay off my house with that. So yeah, did that. And in the middle of all this, I was still doing Graded Jam. Remember, this was October of 2020 that we could barely had time to even drive over there because there were so many cards to submit. November was crazy submitting. December was, crazy because usually PSA raised their rates on January 1st. So we had to get in everybody by the end of December.
He
And
could have given you Monopoly money for all you knew at this point because you're too busy sending cards to even count or look at the big briefcase. I assume he gave it to you in a briefcase full of money with the bills out
yeah,
overflowing, and it was
no, it
kind
was
of
just
busting at the seams a little bit.
no, it was just a very big wire that I don't think I'll ever see a
Oh,
wire
that's
like
no
that.
fun. That's no
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah, and a big contract for the NDA. It was a very, very business like, it wasn't like, Craigslist friends or family, kind of payment. Very, very legal.
A fire emoji, just a fire
Yeah,
emoji, please. That's all.
yeah, yeah. uh,
He
but yeah,
wasn't trying to dodge the taxes on that one or anything, Tate?
yeah. No, it was very, yeah, by the books for that. But yeah, so
I,
sold
I
that.
think it is funny that you said that he was a tough negotiator, and I think
Yeah,
that the people would be very interested to hear that. And I thank you for that little anecdote because that is a very funny thing.
yeah. It was very, yeah. He was a very tough, negotiator. But I don't know how he was with the other people, but yeah, it was quite, yeah. But sold that. Ungraded Jam was until, like there were all these, December, it was like, oh, we'll cut it off December 10th. Everything you get in by December 10th, we'll get in by December 31st. There was like 40,000 cards that came in. Like they sent it on December 10th, and I got it. I think it was, I want to say it was like December 17th or 18th. I think there were 13 days left in December. And I remember emailing Tom, who was Connor, and Tom ran the whole Graded Gem. And Tom's not there anymore. He's doing ace grading, but Connor's still there. God bless him. Send him back packages. I see it. I still have access to the Graded Gem account. I see the packages still going out every day.
Oh man.
But they're just, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I remember writing email to Tom because Connor was more the businessman. He was like, he was very down to brat, and Tom was more like the funny, happy-go-lucky type. So I would like message him funny stuff, and I was I think I emailed him on December 17th because I remember it was like 13 days left to get it in, because if we didn't get it all in, then if PSA did raise the rates, then we'd have to tell all these customers, well, they raised the rates to us, or Ungraded Jam would have to have eaten a whole lot of, money on that end. So I think it was 34,000 cards in 13 days we had to submit. And I want to say that was, God, I can't remember the math, but it was like a card every so many seconds, 24 hours a day until December. And I remember emailing him. I said, we have 34,000 cards to submit in 13 days. And I said, I'm not a religious person, but may God have mercy on us. And he just, and I remember, yeah, him sending back just I can't remember what it was, but it was something like, yeah, same here. Like we're both like in the trenches there. So, yeah, Lauren and I just submitted. I mean, Lauren has submitted probably more cards than if she walked into a Collecticon, which is where, most of the people probably, are congregated who have submitted. I would, if I wasn't in it, if she just walked in, I would guess that she has submitted more cards than everybody in there has submitted to PSA. She probably submitted 40,000, 50,000.
She knows how the back end of that PSA website works.
Yeah.
If she's gonna put a card in, she
Yeah.
knows the exact 3 to 4 letters to put into that search engine and let it go right there.
Yeah. It was pretty.
I'll be
pretty
messaging
insane.
her for my PSA labeling concerns from now on.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got through that, and then we were still in business from January, February, March. And then March, PSA just completely shut down, and that was the end of Ungraded Jam. So from then on, all I was doing was sending stuff back to people when it came back to me. There was, there were other stories too. It's like end of February, there was whispers that PSA was going to raise their rate March 1st, which they did. And the site just kept crashing for like the last week of February. So I had all this stuff I had to get in. I did not sleep for 3 days. The final 3 days of February, the only time the PSA website would work was 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. So I would just stay up all night and submit people's stuff because that's the only time the website was working. And then, eventually, PSA shut down all of Southern California's post office system. It was just a crazy time. So yeah, it was a lot that, transpired over all those times, but, yeah, here we are now we're selling people's stuff. And that's the advice I would say to people who do get, breaks and stuff, because there are times where you'll get lucky. There are times where, be it a relationship you'll make, which you never thought you make with somebody, maybe somebody, big in the hobby, and they let you in on, not, industry secrets, that might be out there, or, you might be a contact to do this, or you might see a flip on a local Craigslist thing that you get that you just got lucky at the right place, right time. You always have to, I think a lot of people get that, and it's like, okay, this is the thing now. I made this, and you're just like kind of living in that kind of moment. Whereas you have to always like, hey, what can I turn this into? Right. It's like, okay, well, maybe you didn't make a big flip. It's like, well, now I have this capital. Now what I can move into the next thing. And I think that's really what's made, this company, grow as much as it is, because I've always leveraged whatever opportunity I have to something else. Like, I got really lucky with, Rusty and Rhyme Style, like shouting me out. Well, now I can sell unweighed packs because now I have this kind of, trusted brand where, I mean, like 99% of people out there who are like selling unweighed packs probably aren't weighing them. They're probably trusted. Most people are good people. I think there's this like overarching, like, oh wow, everybody's scamming out there. Everybody's scamming. It's like, no, it's like everybody on. It's like you were, talking about Whatnot. It's like everybody on Whatnot's a scammer. Probably not. Probably 99% of them aren't. And just the ones that are just the ones that get blown up. So I got lucky to where, I just got elevated by these few guys where I could sell unweighed packs to more people. And I took that opportunity and, broke open more boxes. That kind of snowballed to where, I got the opportunity with Ungraded Jam, and I leveraged that to, now I have 128,000 cards coming through my hands. Do you guys want to sell them on eBay? Well, I can do that for you. It's not, it's already here. List them right now. So I kind of leveraged that to start the consignment business, and, you know, um, yeah, I have other things in the works that I can kind of, leverage that towards other things as well. So, I think when people are really looking to grow in this, don't just stick with one and just say, hey, this is it, because things can change. Um, new relationships can come through, other relationships can turn sour. Always be looking for kind of the next play. And like the next play for, I should have just, if I was still flipping, like if I was like only in vintage, if that's my whole thing, it wouldn't really work right now, right? Like something like old school Pokemon or, Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles, like their full-time job is, a lot of it just flipping. They'll open stuff and they'll flip it, and they have to do modern, right? You can't just rely on, hey, the newest. Hopefully I find that big vintage find every, um
Oh,
so you gotta kind
you
of
don't
continually
have to
evolve.
do ultra modern Japanese common plays, race to the bottom plays, James. There are other options as a full-time Pokemon flipper. Trust me. You
Yeah.
don't have to race to the bottom. There are other
Yeah.
ways you can race to the bottom, James.
Eh,
It's
oh,
another
not
type
those.
of bottom.
Oh, not the hose.
The
Oh,
ones, my
oh,
friend, the
not
ones, the
those.
real race
Not
to the
those.
bottom.
Not the where the Articuno is called Freezer and
Yeah.
where the Chansey's called Happy. What are those called? Cards
Magi
called?
cards, yeah,
Yeah.
those are some
Yeah.
juicers there, James. Those are
Yeah.
juicers. You
Those
know
are
that. You've
juicers.
seen the auctions.
Okay. All right. I don't think I've had too many. Don't know if I ever had a single one of those come through
Low pop. Few
consignment.
people hold them. They're grails. People diamond hands
Okay.
those. They are
All right.
grails.
I sense a little shill
PSA 7
going.
freezers? Are you kidding me?
Hmm.
Someone is going to go to the grave clutching that freezer.
Yeah. Yeah. I
They're gonna
sense a
throw the base at Charizard at their young grandson and say, "Here, kid, have this." Well, they take the freezer to the grave.
I
They're
sense a little bit of
cold,
a
dead
shill job
hands.
going on. Sense a little bit of a shill job. Somebody has a lot of those. Somebody has a lot of those cards in the background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot to put them up there, by the way. Yeah, they should be back there. They'll be,
Yeah.
imagine them back there.
Yeah. You got the high pop Southern Islands back there. While you're just holding the low pop behind the scenes. Yeah.
What can I say? I'm a bag holder. I have
Yeah.
this Gara bag next to my Southern
Mm.
Islands bags and
Yep.
the Urza's Saga booster box bag. Everyone's least favorite era of Magic the Gathering. I'm a
You ever
bag
think about
holder
just, do you ever think about, Cam and I talk about it a lot. Do you ever think about just selling it all, just starting over, just
every
selling every single thing?
single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Get out
Yeah.
of my head. Get out of my head right now.
Just
Oh.
hey, and why don't you just sell it all? Just sell every
Stop.
single,
The
just
voices, they're
sell
back again. They're
every
back
single
again, honey. The voices.
every single item. I'm on that road. I'm selling almost probably every single item I have, except for the melee. I'm not gonna. There's no way I'd sell the melee unless like
That's me with that. So I think we're on a
yeah.
similar path with that. What led you down that road? I'm curious. Or when did you start feeling that way? I wonder if it was correlating to sort of when I was feeling. Maybe it's an overall thing, but when were you starting that?
I don't know. This has been pretty recent that I've just
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
about. Yeah, it's been in the past. I don't know. Cam too. I think he's pretty close to. He's on the path. I'm on the path too. I have been listing and selling a whole lot more. I'm really not keeping back anything unless like maybe like one video game because I don't know what it is. I think it's I'm so ingrained in making this business where that's such my focus that what's the point of holding tens of thousands of dollars on my shelf if I'm literally never appreciating or looking at it. Like, I don't know. I would just rather, have the money for another employee or emergencies, or, I have a kid and a wife and 3 dogs and a house and 2 employees. And there's a lot of other stuff, that can come up that you might need to use that for. And I don't know. I just don't really, like I said at the beginning, I'm just so kind of disconnected now from it, to where, I'm just much more interested in the actual growing of, a business, and the flipping aspect just isn't, I don't know, unless I get something really, really rare, which I just don't have
Like
anything.
a base set, no potential, no symbol, Japanese booster box,
Yeah,
something
and
rare like that.
I just, unless it's, I just see so much of everything now, like even like rare stuff, like rare, like that's supposedly rare, like Neo Destiny first edition 10 shinings, or, certain like prize cards, or, it's stuff that's just not, I don't know, I just see it all the time, that it's like, well, I have that too. It's like, I can use that for more. And it's kind of sad at the same time. Is so like, it's like I feel like I'm becoming more of just an adult, and you know, it's like I'm just using it for purposes of, I don't know. To me, I talk to you have on your channel retrospects, right?
Hmm.
Um,
He's in my
like,
other podcast.
yeah, like I talked to him on Discord a bit, and in DMs, and he told me too, and it was kind of the same thing. He was saying, yeah, he's like, I'm just flipping right now, and if I get rich and I'm 40, I'll just buy it. I'll buy the same thing that I'm flipping. That I'm like, that's kind of the same thing with me. It's like, if I'm, do I need to hold this, you know, Blaine's Moltres PSA 8 first edition for, do I need to? It's like, if I do get to the point where I'm 50 years old and I want it back, and if I do grow this business to where I want to be, it's going to be no problem to buy that again. It's just going to be no. So, I'll use it for purposes of growing, and if I do need it again, I'll buy it. It's not going to be a big deal. And if it is a big deal, well, that means then I really needed the money, now, because there were issues that happened that I will have needed it. So, yeah, unless it's something really rare or something I'm really, really connected to, just kind of like the Melee, there's no other one, and I graded them myself. There's no point in keeping it, or selling it. The rest of it, if I need it again later down the line, if everything plays out and I can get it again, you know. I mean, most of my stuff in my collection are freaking set cards, There's a million of these things that are printed. So yeah, that's kind of the why, I think.
Yeah,
But
and it does sound like it sort of comes from a place of a love of the hobby, of a want or desire to be in the hobby longer and do what you're doing longer. It's like it's not like sell every, because I feel similarly about what you said. It's very close to like why I feel like I think about, oh, do I want to sell my grails or sell some of my larger items that I wouldn't have typically thought about before to maybe further some of my goals within the hobby. And I never would have thought that before. But then thinking about it, like, what could you do to further your business or further your goals within the thing that you love? It makes it much more attractive that way. So like, I definitely I agree with that, and I've heard a similar sentiment from other people, and I just wonder if it's something that like maybe a lot of us are feeling some market rumblings in the next year or so. So we're like thinking we need to sell now. It's like our better judgment sort of coming in and thinking, making the financial decisions that maybe are a little more responsible with that.
mhm.
Or maybe it is just us being fickle with it, and deciding that we have moved on. Because I agree with everything you said, because I similarly, what good is tying up 10 grand 20 grand, 30 grand of something to sit on your shelf when you could do that a new employee.
Yeah.
That's, a 10 grand. That's a Roka sorter. That's a card. That's a bulk card sorter. That
Yeah.
is an employee essentially,
Right.
and that gives you real returns. Like these, you see these boxes right here.
Yep.
Those aren't just full of air, my friend. Those are full of modern bulk. And
Yeah.
you see this box right there. That's a Roka sorter right there, my friend. So
Yeah.
there are things that I think about to answer your question. Do I ever think about selling it all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
sometimes. I've done the math. I've done the math,
Hmm.
and I get closer every day. But
Yeah.
luckily, the things have been going up that I haven't sold since I thought about. And every day that I go by thinking about it, that does seem to go up a little bit. So that's nice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We just see, and like you sell a lot, you open a lot of stuff, I mean, a lot of stuff is just, it's like, I'll be able to get it later
yeah.
if I do really want it back. Um,
There's very
it's
little
not,
that's actually rare. And
yeah.
if it is rare, it's usually because of like conditional rarity,
Yeah.
conditional scarcity. And that is like,
Or
you
there's like
know,
rare stuff that it's like, yeah, it's rare, but I don't care about it, or nobody actually even cares about it.
yeah.
Do I actually care about it? Do I actually care about it?
Most of the rarest things are like half art trainer cards, and they're Japanese. I can't even read them, and they're from like
Yeah.
an era I don't know, like black and white. It's like, do I really care about that? No,
Yeah.
probably not. Did somebody? Yeah, probably,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's tough. It is tough. But I think that toughness is needed to like really grow your business, because if you didn't have that pull towards it, then you could just, like you say, you could just be selling, computers, or selling whatever, rugs. I don't care. If it really is just the dollars, then, you know, just
you gotta
get
love
into
what you
everything.
do. It's a passion. It's definitely a passion, I think, this hobby.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely the passion, but you definitely need to realize what your kind of goals are, kind of set that out every once in a while, and just see how you're going to, accomplish those. And maybe you need to sell everything. I don't know, you know,
But you have to think
but
about that once in a while. I think if you're in this game and you have a collection and you have a large position, or you even if you call yourself a business, especially, and you have a large inventory and you're not thinking about just selling it all once in a while, you might you may need to rethink. You should be thinking about that once. So you're not saying you do it all the time, but at least thinking about it, considering it, thinking, what if I needed an out? It's good to think about those situations.
yeah, yeah,
And
because it's
because
a
you
lot of
never,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, and you don't really think about when you start to like collect a whole lot of stuff, and it's like, man, and then you start to like add it up, and it's like, man, that's a lot of stuff. You don't even realize it, in the background. So maybe
Better to
every once,
call it an
maybe,
inventory than it is
yeah,
to call it collection.
maybe the best thing I would say is not think about selling it all. Maybe every once in a while, because I know most people don't do this, is like just take a few hours. I know it's kind of a pain. Take a few hours, put a spreadsheet of everything you have, the dollars, and put a sum total and see what that number feels like to you. It's like, wow, that's, okay. I could put or maybe some people do that and be like, oh yeah, cool. Moving on. I'll keep buying. But yeah, it's good to put it in perspective. Um,
Yeah.
so because it's easy now. It's been easy the past few years because there's always seems to be demand. There was that huge demand in 2020, and even though a lot of stuff has gone down, now it's like a whole lot of modern stuff. It's just crazy the price, and it's pretty easy now. It's like I haven't bought or flipped modern, but from what I've seen, a lot of these plays, it's just easy money. There's just demand. There's apparently people who buy modern have unlimited money. So, um, hey, good for them. I don't know where this money comes from.
that.
I sell, you know, 50, 60, 70,000. It's probably be 100,000 this week of auctions. Just, it's just constant. It just never, it just keeps going. I don't think I've ever, no matter what the card is, and we've sold tens of thousands in the past couple of years, none have ever not gotten a 99 cent plus $5 shipping bid. Not one, no matter how bad it is. It's never not gotten a bid. Have gotten a Weiss card, not get a bid. A couple Weiss cards before. Never a Pokemon card. Never not gotten a bid. So
It's
yeah,
not all
it's
cardboard. It's just Pokemon cardboard right now.
yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
why that's a surefire way to see that the business is dying is when the sports cards start coming in because
yeah,
then you know he's really lost it all and he doesn't care because sports is a whole nother dark ballpark.
that's sports is a whole that's a completely different section.
There's plenty
Um,
of zero bid sports cards out there.
oh yeah,
Plenty of
there are
those.
plenty. We actually got, we used to take sports before we lowered our rates because the lower rates would kind of incentivize, I think, a lot of sports. So last year we did take sports. It was just not a big deal. And we did get some. And yeah, there were, I think, we probably only got a couple hundred, but like 4 or 5 of them never got bids. A couple of them got like multiple weeks, didn't get bids. And then like the third week, it got like $11. It's like, what? I don't understand that. But yeah, so sports and Weiss have not gotten bids. Pokemon never has, which is it's crazy. It's crazy how much money is out there in Pokemon. It really is unbelievable, honestly.
One day we're gonna get PokeJace on one of these interviews. We're gonna get PokeJace. It's gonna out who it is. When we find him, we'll thank him.
yeah, he still buys a lot from us every week. He has yeah, he's not PokeJace anymore. He has multiple eBay usernames. Some are hidden, which I don't really know what's going on there. But he
But he
buys
doesn't like people knowing. Then now
he does not like people knowing. But yeah, he must have hundreds of thousands of junk slabs, and I'm not sure what is happening. But
you hinted in your recent YouTube video, the one you made, which I really loved, by the way, the mysteries of like Pokemon, the
oh yeah,
unsolved mysteries. Really clever video, by the way. Loved
yeah,
that. You
yeah.
hinted you thought there may be a grand scheme or something behind all this junk slab buying. What do
There
you think that is? You think he's just a whatnot seller and he's cycling it onto his whatnot
he has
streams,
not.
or
He has. There have been multiple people that have I've talked to him a little bit because he buys so much, and he just says no, I just like it. I don't sell it. I just like it. Just like I don't know. We need to like trace the certs, see like if they're moving or not. But
that's a good call.
I don't know. It's there are just some people, and I've gotten not just him. There are other people that buy dozens, if not, if you sell enough auctions on eBay, you cannot invoice for more than 40 items at a time. You have to invoice 40, they pay, and then you invoice another 40 and they pay.
Wow.
We have other people who have the 40 count invoices and they're just buying these kind of lower end stuff. And so it's not just him. So I don't really know what's going on there. And normally those people, they don't even have, you look at their eBay pages and they don't have any selling history. It's just kind of a ghost kind of account. So I don't know.
On whatnot, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Cam went to Orlando. He went to Orlando, and he was telling me like some of the top whatnot people who I've heard of Travis, and he's met Travis a couple of times. I haven't, but just goes around and just throws down money to buy all this stuff. And I heard Cloud. I've never heard of Cloud. Apparently, he's big.
He's a whatnot streamer. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a big whatnot streamer. He was.
Yeah.
He's actually not on the platform anymore, but
Oh, okay.
he'll be back and forth though. He tends to do that. He leaves it and comes back, and he does that a lot.
Yeah. But I heard that he's put down stuff and other, like I said, like I don't know some of these stuff that we're selling on eBay, but whatnot is even more crazy, like where that money is coming. It's just there's so much money being spent in Pokemon. I think the people were so worried about junk slabs, but it just doesn't really, I mean, they have gone down let's not be real. A lot of this stuff is not worth much, but a lot of these people are grading absolute junk and they're still getting at least like their grading feedback most of the time. There are people that will just like, I'll buy anything for $13 or 12, whatever you can grade for CGC or past couple of years where you're getting your bulk back from PSA that cost less than $10, like nobody's really being punished on that, aspect. So I don't know. It just doesn't. And I mean, all the junk slabs are gone. Like PSA, they're done with their bulk. I mean, I guess some like really, really late middlemen are still getting their, stuff back from like 2020, 2021. But like all that stuff that was graded for $8.99, $7.50, $10, like that's all been in the market. If you got it back and you haven't sold, well, I guess you're just not selling, or you got it back and you just sold. That's all out, I mean, the rest of it, all this stuff, is 15, 20, 25, whatever it is, dollars that you graded at. So I don't know. It's pretty unbelievable how much money is out there in Pokemon. It really is.
It just goes to show you how much gas is still left in the tank of the number one selling IP brand in the whole world, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know sports is crazy, but sports I get, it's generational, your grandfather's dad, and then you as son, you have, you take you to the sports games and you have all this. It's just it's just a phenomenon. Everybody, follows sports, is billions of dollars into it. I get that, but Pokemon is just, it's crazy, it really is.
It was crazy enough that what did you do before Pokemon, before you decided to do this full time? Because you weren't always doing Pokemon, right?
No, I was just an accountant, just staff accountant, and then a senior staff accountant, which is basically nothing but just putting senior in front of your name.
So at what point did you go like full time? Did you see that was crazy enough that you're like, okay, this is like Pokemon, but it's good enough that I think I feel comfortable with myself and my family, doing this.
It was like those crazy submission days with Graded Jam
So
when we were
during your middleman days, sort of.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It was too much. I went to my boss and I'm like, you know, I am working, my job is kind of suffering here. And I don't want to stay at a job where, I want to give 100% to whatever job I'm working at. I just can't. I was really upfront with her. I said, I'm working all night, doing this kind of side thing. And honestly, I'm working all night and I'm making way more than I am as a staff accountant. So what am I doing here? Why am I spending 40 hours making, whatever it was, way less? What am I doing here? This is stupid. This is dumb. And it's so that really made the decision like kind of easy, honestly, because I was making a lot more and it was like kind of stupid how I could spend 40 more hours, doing it, and, have more of a work-life balance, which really didn't really work out because it was just kept coming in and, still had to work even more. But yeah, it was kind of a unique situation. Those people who just are like flipping, like, and, quit their jobs, there are quite a few people out there, like younger kids now, who are like in their 20s or even like younger, who just do this kind of full time. That's takes a lot because it can be definitely a grind if you don't have kind of that, steady flow coming in. But it really kind of became, once all of a sudden PSA shut down in March 2021, like all of a sudden I had no money coming in. Like it died immediately. And that was it. So, yeah. So then I just had to figure out how to make money. And I really didn't for like 6 months until I started that consignment at like September of 2021. So that was kind of a scrambling period, where all of a sudden I was making zero. I did for quite a while, and I was kind of, but it was kind of nice because I was a stay-at-home dad at that point. Kind of
Mhm.
spent time with my daughter, and because she was less than a year old, and it's like, well, I've been working like 20-hour days for months on end. Let me just take a break. But then
Probably
I,
didn't hurt that the base set first edition box sale probably had
yeah,
happened very
yeah,
recently
yeah,
as well. So
yeah. So it all kind of worked out, and kind of took a break there. But then had to figure out how to get back on the horse. So did that. So yeah, just an accountant, which helps with you know numbers and
mhm.
all the spreadsheets that we have to deal with here with putting consignor stuff, spreadsheets, and connecting it with eBay and then payouts and whatnot. So it has helped a little bit, but yeah, that's just a boring old accountant.
I mean, it seems like it would lend itself well to what you need to know to run the back end side of your business, all of the employees, all the tax and
Yeah,
information, all that
yeah,
extra payouts and spreadsheets and things. That definitely seems like would lend itself well. And I mean, it shows. Like I feel like when it comes to the consignment businesses that I see people interact with, just I have friends who've used your service and they say that you're a very smooth, easy transaction where the payouts they happen quickly. They send the items to your employees get them logged in and listed within a certain reasonable amount of time, and the payouts happen relatively quickly as well. And just as for ease of use and ease of access and service, from a customer service point of view, that's really all you can ask for. So I mean, props for that. I mean, that's very good scaling upwards, and I think you've said, it's taken time, but I've seen a lot of good growth from that. So definitely hoping that continues forward. And like we sort of alluded to earlier in the stream, it's such a useful service for people to utilize, because I just moved my business over to eBay, so I list a lot full time on eBay now. I've moved from Whatnot, sort of moving platforms over, and it's definitely time consuming. It's tedious, and it's certainly not something that if you had a normal 9 to 5 and you're working grinding at your job and you're coming in traffic and you're sitting in traffic and making dinner and then sitting down when you get home, you may not want to spend another couple hours sitting and listing your slabs or whatever. So it was a good pivot probably to move into that realm of just like putting in cards. You don't want to sit in and input 100 of your own cards in after. You'd rather pay someone a couple bucks to do it. It's the same thing with listing things on eBay. So I mean, it was a good pivot, and it was something that seems like you used a lot of your strengths that you already had, used it to your advantage, and sort of pivoted in that direction, which is a good lesson that a lot of people could probably learn from that.
yeah. And so have you talked about on your YouTube that you're moving
I
to
made my public announcement today. I made the video and dropped it right before this video. You probably didn't get a
okay.
chance to see it yet because I
No.
literally just dropped it.
Yeah.
I told a bunch of people over the course of this collecticon over the weekend. I made a couple announcements in person, verbal announcements and things. Um, and I've made public announcements in the seller Discord of Whatnot as well. But no, it's been a bit of a cathartic move over. I mean, not to make
Yeah.
about us or anything, but we have just recently officially left Whatnot as a platform, as in I want nothing to do with it. I don't want my name associated with it. Like, keep my name out your mouth when it comes to old card shop and Whatnot. It's going to be difficult because our whole business and brand was built basically partially on the platform.
Yeah.
But it's keeping a long story short, it's just become a wretched hive of scum and villainy to the point where we have to leave Tatooine. And so it's
Yeah, I'll have to watch that video because I was interested in hearing kind of your thought process on pivoting, because
yes.
that's quite a pivot because you had like tens of thousands of followers on there, right?
We were closing in on 13,000
Yeah,
followers, and we had 14,000 sales on the platform,
that's a
and
lot.
I streamed 3 to 5 times a week for 6 to 8 hours each time I'd stream. And Yeah, I did it since Battle Styles, and it's a huge part of my business and a part of my life, honestly, streaming, live streaming. And it's a great platform for that. But there are just so many other problems will create long-term problems and issues for my business and me as a business or brand, that being associated with it right now is probably not the smartest decision for someone of my size if I want to continue to do this. And so we made the decision over the course of the last few weeks to pivot and move everything away from Whatnot and go directly to eBay, which, it's a large platform. eBay is the largest platform, and most likely the one at the end of the day that I would probably put my money behind actually lasting and having the largest reach and the most growth potential for anyone with their business. Like, there's always a benefit for having your own website and having your own platform or whatever. But if you do use any other platform, there are fees associated with it. There's a cost of doing business. And when it comes to choosing a platform, eBay is by and far the largest platform with the most eyes. So it makes sense to pivot that direction when it comes to like moving a business in a more scaling upwards or a more legitimate direction. And so that's a lot of where our reasoning is. But in a longer form, our video is us in about 15 minutes just ranting or discussing why we chose to leave and sort of airing those grievances in the form of a YouTube video. So you guys, anyone down below, if you haven't seen it, check out our video. We just dropped it today. It should be a fun watch, but it's just
Yeah.
me pouring out my heart to the camera for 15 minutes about, my grievances about Whatnot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I'll have to definitely watch that. So your pivot. So on eBay, is it going to be like raw cards, graded cards, modern? Like what,
Yeah,
what's your
so
inventory?
basically, I will be keeping my distributor contracts with my modern distributor and buying that, but I'll probably be buying a little less or taking some of that product and selling it to other streamers, and just kind of making the money I can selling the sealed product and then keeping some of it for what I'd like.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed sealed product and modern, and I've always been a modern pack ripper for other people. So I've sort of ripped through it at such reckless abandon that it'll be almost nice to not have to do that by like having that huge demand for that.
Yeah.
And I've over the course of the last 6 months been shifting most of my business to graded cards and selling slabs and grading and selling and
Yeah.
essentially just pivoting to more direct um sales via our Facebook, Instagram. It was on Whatnot for a while, and I was using a little bit of eBay sales as well. But just overall, we've been pivoting towards more graded and less pack openings because, just frankly, between you and I, we make about 50 cents to a dollar opening a pack of
Yeah.
modern. So in order to do that, you have to rip like so many packs at such a speed that I'm feeling like arthritis and carpal tunnel building just thinking about it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And so generally it made more sense margin wise just to move in that way. And so that's what we've been doing. So we're all tens and all ones are on our eBay, PSA tens and PSA ones for buy it now. And we're running auctions of anything that we consider to be failures, like PSA 9 modern cards that,
Yeah.
we'll just run auctions to get the feedback and get the sales and
Yep.
get the recoup that back and get that, the sales going on the, get the eyes on the platform
Yeah.
and build that way. So it was,
Yeah.
and then also a lot more in person. We're hitting every collecticon that we possibly can this year because in-person sales are it's just such a smashing hit for our particular style. I've always been decent at selling. I'm a good salesman. That's always been one of my strengths in person, or whether it's, streaming through a screen or if it's in person. My previous job, I sold wine. I was a fine wine salesman, like high end, expensive $1,000 bottles of wine. I mean, just like with Pokemon cards, you don't think it exists. It exists.
Yeah.
People are out there buying it.
Yeah.
You may think it's crazy, but these guys who are buying $1,000 bottle of wine, they don't think it's crazy, and they're buying 12 of them at a time to get that
Right.
10% case discount. So, you
Yeah.
know,
Jeez. Yeah.
there's a world for everything.
I know. Yeah.
And so we like in-person sales. So we're going to be doing a lot more in-person conventions as well. So that's our business is moving away from a platform that we feel is propping up the worst common denominator of the hobby, and unfortunately propelling things that we don't necessarily like to advocate. Unregulated gambling. Opening packs is already a gamble, so adding other layers of gambling that are unregulated just seems a little bit predatory, and something like that we don't need to be a part of. If there
Yeah.
are legitimate options, which I feel like there are plenty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Well,
lot of those
that's
things.
it'll be good to see how that goes, And if you need any you know, I don't know if I can offer any advice on, eBay anytime, just let me know on that. And but yeah, I know.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we've actually been doing it though for the last I haven't streamed since the the first week of last month on Whatnot. So we haven't actually streamed for a very long time. We just made the public announcement now because there's
Right.
Collecticon. I've been running auctions on our eBay. We've been putting transitioning all of our inventory over like that. And
Yeah.
it's been a pretty easy transition for us. And to be frank, I sell my items for a higher amount off of Whatnot than when I did on Whatnot, because Whatnot, the eyes and the auction structure with so much competition, with 60 other streams going, and buyers spread so thin, and the biggest buyers and the largest streams getting ripped off by the streamers who are just selling them resealed or scamming them with packs that are light. Those things are happening too prevalently, so we do better off of the platform anyway. So
Yeah.
it's been quite nice. It's actually been a refreshing breath of fresh air, and that's why we're doing more of these podcasts.
That's good.
People are getting 3-4 videos a week on our YouTube now. Like, this is unheard of from the old card shop, and they're gonna get more too.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I saw some more Orlando do recaps, and there were some people that are doing real well vending. So if you can do it in person too, it's
Yeah,
definitely
like
a play.
it's like going to one of those events. It's like having one of your best Whatnot streams you've ever had in 2 days, sort of
Yeah.
all condensed. And then at the end of it, you might get lucky and someone will come by and buy out everything that you didn't sell. They'll
Yeah.
just come and say, "Hey, we're a Whatnot streamer. We want to buy your stuff for 70%." You're like, "Oh, well, hello there."
Yeah. Welcome back. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're happy to see the Whatnot streamers, but
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
vicious cycle.
Yeah. It's a fish. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're just reaching back into our roots a little bit. We haven't had a trainer profile on us yet, but we got into this hobby. I made my flipper roots selling modern to other streamers for them to stream with before I ever was the old card shop. We
Hmm.
were like, my business model isn't really a business model. It's just a philosophy that I've had from being raised. Like, my family always grew up going to Costco. When we bought things, we lived in the country. We had a big deep freeze. They would buy, the big pack of toilet paper. They'd buy, the extra meat and put some in the freezer, and they'd can everything. Like, my family was about buying in bulk. And so, like, when I started buying booster boxes when I was like 12 years old, I very quickly learned that to get my allowance, the bang for my allowance money, I could save up $100 and buy a booster box, 36 packs, or I could spend $10 or $7 for one pack every time I'd get my allowance, and get like, 10 packs or something, or 15 packs or something. And
Yeah.
so I learned very quickly to buy in bulk. And then that led to, when I was older, when I got back to the hobby, when I was, in my late 20s, early 30s, I had my Costco membership. I was buying my tens at Walmart and Target like the rest of us, my Hidden Fates tens. I thought to myself, surely someone is getting this from somewhere. And good old Google was there for me. Well, how do you buy Pokemon in bulk?
Yeah.
Well, Google told me you don't even have to be a local game store. You just have to have a resale license in my state, California. in order to buy in bulk and then do whatever you want with it. You don't have a game store or anything. You couldn't
Yeah.
sell Magic, which was something I love, Magic the Gathering, but Pokemon, sure. So I went and I learned what I needed. I went to LegalZoom. I looked up my state's laws and got the what I needed to get my resale license, which cost very little, and it was maybe a day or two of looking up some things online for what I needed. And I contacted, I did what I needed to for that, and then I contacted a couple distributors, and this was right in the time of like the early Sword and Shield, like Darkness Ablaze, like Sword and Shield Rebel Clash, like really early on. It hadn't quite popped off, but Hidden Fates was around, and
Yeah.
I got into the distributor right then, and it just started. Hey man, I'm a guy. I buy Pokemon at Target, and I'm tired of spending all my time driving around. Can I buy a few cases from you instead every couple of releases? He said, sure thing. And I started buying from a distributor near me. And then since then I've just grown. And I very quickly found other streamers to then sell my excess, stuff to and make a couple dollars to pay for my habit. And that's sort of where I started. So I'm just going back to that. I'll find other streamers to supply again. I'm just going back to my roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's yeah, if you buy in bulk, especially if you're doing flips, like there's like Rusty, like he would buy, like he doesn't buy like a couple things, it's like he'll buy 5,000 EV promos, or he'll buy, it's like just all at once. And that's a lot of them. I've seen a lot of modern plays too. Like people will just buy, like the newest Scarlet and Violet promo, they'll buy 300 at a whatever, $3 a piece of a Chinese version, just get them all graded, and then just go from there. So it's, yeah,
There's so
there's a
many
lot you can
avenues
do.
that you can really take with it,
There's a
honestly.
lot.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just where it's like choose your path kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like just go whichever direction and go with what you're comfortable with. And it's just I think that's what's beautiful about the Pokemon hobby as I've seen it grow since I've been back involved with the hobby. You've been involved with it since 2016. Sounds like back involved with it a little bit longer. Did you correlate that with the Pokemon Go boom, or was it just kind of a happenstance that it happened around that time for you?
It just happened.
That's
I
super
didn't.
funny because the Pokemon Go thing was what got me as an adult back interested in Pokemon because I didn't get into the cards again until probably 2019. It was after Pokemon Go kind of dragged me back into it, and then I got rid of Pokemon Go and then got back through the cards back in like 2019 with Hidden Fates.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I never played Pokemon Go, never have. And it was crazy because it was boy, when was it? Was it late 2016? I believe when yeah, it was late. It was, yeah, I think September 2016 when I proposed to Lauren, and I think it was September 2016, and I had never played Pokemon Go, and we went to, I like proposed in Los Angeles, and we went there and stayed there a few days, but literally everybody was on their phones. Like it was unbelievable. I'd never experienced that. I was walking down like Santa Monica, like the third street or whatever it's called, the
Some of the
promenade.
best times of my life was during that year.
I walked down and I had never played it, still haven't, and I didn't even like know what it was. And like everybody was on there, like almost everybody. And it was just like, what is going on? And I was talking to Lauren, I was like, what are they playing? What is going on? And it was like they were all I was like, Pokemon, what is going on here? And I think it must have been too that, like the YouTube algorithm was like pushing Pokemon too because everybody was into it. So that's probably how I got to like Gem and Pokemon, other kind of YouTubers because it was kind of being pushed to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I kind of got, back into it. So in a way, Pokemon Go probably did get me back into it because it was
A
being pushed to
roundabout
me.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, through that. But yeah, it's crazy, crazy times. That
Yeah, I blame Pokemon Go for a certain extent for dragging me, and I would say it's probably responsible for a lot. I mean, it was a worldwide phenomenon. Like there were old people who didn't know what Pokemon were who got into it, because
yeah,
just they saw everyone out having a good time and they wanted to be a part of it, and
yeah,
then they're hooked. They're Pokemon fans for life.
Yeah.
So
It's
it was really a pretty sensational thing, and I don't think the world's ever been closer to world peace than that particular summer when it came out.
yeah, it probably spurned like all this Pokemon stuff, like how popular it is and all the money in it right now. I mean, it really probably did, and spurned it all. It was just kind of that fire that burned, and that's still just kind of going out there, even though a lot of people might say, oh no, it wasn't, I wasn't affected by that. It's like you probably were, in some way,
So
some
many small
roundabout way.
businesses were affected by it, like lots of small businesses literally in downtown areas of the entire United States were revitalized because of it. And it's, I don't know how much money that spurned for like the GDP or whatever, but it did something. It certainly did something.
Yeah, it definitely did. They must have been just made an absolute killing on that game. I don't know. Did they run ads? Is that how they made money? I don't
I
know.
still
Never
don't
played it.
know to this day. I think that so I played it a lot, and a lot of the people who played it, they did buy a lot of in-app purchases.
Oh, okay.
You had to buy coins, and so I
Okay.
think that they made a lot from the player base, just literally buying, because it wasn't ads. There wasn't like crazy ads or anything.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, crazy. That really spurned a lot of stuff, and it's probably the forefront to the 2020. But I mean, the 2020 boom was that's a completely different black swan event, of everybody staying inside and having more money. But
so
yeah,
Pokemon's had a couple of Black Swan events. It had Pokemon Go, it had the COVID Logan Paul sort of boom thing, and then
yeah,
I mean, I feel like we're due for several more Black Swans. Is it more like a gray swan at that
yeah.
point?
Is it?
Like an off black, kind of a less a charcoaly swan, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know what. I don't know. They might put out something one day again that absolutely catches everybody. I mean, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have sold. Boy, I think I saw it sold more than a whole lot of other games, they've ever released.
It's the best selling, I think one of the best selling like Pokemon games for sure. And I mean, have you seen the new trading card, the TCG Classic thing that they're releasing for us boomers?
I
Like
think I saw something about that. Yeah.
the
It looked
black
like just
box with the
another
reprint
reprint.
page. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
It's
they keep on trying. They keep on doing more and more that they think that they can get us back with. They don't know we're already hooked. They don't need to do more for us, but
I don't know how these reprint base of Charizard still have value. Like it's just great. Like Yu-Gi-Oh reprints Blue Eyes White Dragon all the time, and it's some of that's worth like nothing, in PSA 10, a lot of them. But like we just sold like a at auction like a Celebrations Charizard 10, and I was like, that has to be worth like $50, 30.
200 plus.
It's like 2 or 3, it was like $250 or something.
Yeah,
Like what?
yeah, yeah.
It's a Celebrations Charizard.
Stupid. It makes me want to go open all the celebrations I have. Literally every celebrations I have behind me. Just
Yeah.
open it all.
It's just they just keep they're literally printing money. It's just like, hey, do you want to print more of whatever it is? I don't care what it is, just print more. And they're like, yeah, I want to make more money.
Print more. Yeah.
I would like to make more money. Yeah, let's just print more.
Oh, let's buy the factory first. Then we can.
Yeah,
Then we can
yeah.
print some more.
Oh, that's not enough. Oh, okay.
Just tell them we bought the factory. That'll do it.
Yeah. We'll know it's actually saturated when we get a Mason Cardinal gaming video where he says, I got my allocation and I'm happy, which is never
That'll never
which
happen.
never happens. He's
That'll never happen.
he's always shaking his fist. Yeah, he never gets what he wants. So one
He'll be
day
on his
might.
fifth store and still complaining about
Yeah,
allocations, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
He's like, I have 69 stores. I
Yeah.
just can't keep them all stocked. It's like,
I
dude, just give up one store, man.
yeah. I
As
asked
he's
for
opening
50,000
another one.
boxes.
Shout
I
out to
only got.
Mason, the richest man in the hobby.
Yeah, I know, crushing it.
I feel rich just knowing him, you know?
I do too.
It makes
Honestly,
me feel richer at least, you know?
I know his overhead is unbelievable. So he must be making bank if he can afford that overhead, or he's drowning in debt. And
He spends time sorting 20 cent, like 5 cent, 1 cent singles. He's definitely made of money.
he
Like,
has to,
that's the
or
biggest flex I've ever seen. Like sorting live bulk when you own several, like 5 game stores.
Yeah.
It's a huge flex.
He's yeah. Or he's massively in debt and he never sleeps and he's constantly stressed and he has the heart of a 80-year-old already, as a whatever, however old he is,
The
30-year-old
world may
man.
never know.
Yeah, may never know,
May
you know?
never know. So if you had to choose a partner Pokemon, first of all, hold on. I was about to ask, I was going to say James if you had, but what the hell? Where did Z and G, the name, come from? My fiance has been asking me to ask you that question for probably 2 years now. And I can't believe I didn't ask you first thing, but where did Z and G Emporium, that name, come from?
It's a secret. I can't say. It's a secret.
Proprietary
It's a
secret.
proprietary secret, yeah. Cam
So,
knows,
so it
Lauren
actually
knows.
has a real.
It has a real, yeah. Maybe you can get a future Collecticon. You get Cam drunk and tell him to tell you, but
So
yeah,
who else knows besides Cam? Well, obviously Lauren.
Lauren. I think that's about it.
Was she around or was she a part of the inception of it?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I feel like you said it once upon a time on a live. It was like you hinted at it one time,
I might have. I don't know.
because I
Yeah.
remember her having something to do with it. She is the G of
Uh,
Z and or no, she's the Z of Z and G.
honestly, it's pretty stupid. So I'm like almost like I'm almost kind of embarrassed to even say what it is. So I just don't even say it. I just say it's a secret to act like it's cooler than it is,
Oh, we're gonna
but it's
get you
really kind of
drunk on
dumb.
the yeah, we're definitely gonna get you drunk and it's gonna come out
Yeah.
on a stream one of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will be in Dallas with Lauren.
Sweet. We're gonna be
Um,
in Dallas too. We have a booth down there.
yeah, nice. Yeah, I don't have a booth, just coming over. But yeah. Yeah, see you there.
That'll be exciting. Are you gonna actually have Lauren come out this time? Because in Long Beach, I didn't get to see
Yes.
her.
She was there, but my daughter was also there. She'll be there too, my daughter,
Right,
but she was,
a baby.
she was just running. She just wanted every single plushie. And she was, kind of, yeah, a little angry when she only got, one and then two. And I was like, okay, you can't have more. And she wanted that one. And it's like, okay. And she was just kind of running around. And there's a lot of people. Long Beach was just
That's
like
crazy.
sardines.
Yes,
So
out of all the Collecticons, that was the busiest, most like packed out of all of them. I don't know what it's gonna be like this next one, but I'm happy to be on the vendor side of it because I felt like a sardine at Long Beach.
yeah, yeah. So toddler running, or can't. So it was a little hectic. So she wasn't there that long. She left. So, but we'll hopefully a little more time in there this time. But yeah,
We'll get the real scoop of the
yeah,
CNG. Sorry,
yeah,
viewers, we tried.
yeah. You
You'll have to
tried.
get it out of them drunk at a Collecticon.
Yeah,
Go ambush them.
yeah,
Do it respectfully, but
yeah.
he'll tell you.
Respectfully, yeah,
Yeah, but that's exciting. I didn't know we'd be able to get you at another Collecticon, so that's kind of cool. We plan to
yeah.
go to both that one, Long Beach, and most likely Houston as well. So
Oh, okay,
there's kind of
nice.
both.
Yeah, might be my only one this year, but we'll see. I just don't have much time, but we're making it for one of them. So
I mean,
yeah,
Dallas, I think is going to be a good shot. Like, I feel like Texas, as far as like it comes to conventions and things, is a good place to have them. It's cheap generally to travel. The food is pretty good. Like, I like barbecue. Like, generally speaking, they're about their freedom, and so like just let you fly in and have fun for the weekend, and then kind of fly out. So that's
yeah,
generally the Texas vibe that I've got when I go to Dallas or those types of things. Because I went to Leonhardt Pop Shop in Dallas last year too, and it's sort of similar to that.
yeah,
And I really liked it. So I'm thinking it's going to be a good time, and I feel like there's a lot of money in Texas as well, as far as like for collections and buyers of like just excess goods.
yeah,
And it's good timing wise, right after people are getting their taxes back and everything. And so
mhm,
I feel like it's going to be a very fruitful collecticon. And I always feel that way about collecticons to a certain extent. I feel like they could be good, but then I get kind of bearish at the same time. So it really depends on my mood. I have
yeah,
my swings of bearishness and not.
yeah. It's yeah. It's weird with this stuff. It's like this stuff we go to zero it, you know. I don't know. That's why sometimes you think. That's why I also sometimes think about something else. Like Cam is sometimes like he's like I'm gonna buy something, and then immediately when I get it, he's gonna like buy a big thing. He's gonna actually like put a lot of money down and buy something, and then he's like immediately when I do that, and it gets to my uh PO box, there's going to be like a news alert that says there's going to be like a nuke from North Korea and this is all going to be worth zero. He's like, that is going to be the time that I buy it. So there's always that weird thing. It's like, some people say like, oh, well, collectibles would, hold their value during, if there's an actual recession or some kind of big global thing. It's like, I don't think it will at all. I think it would go to almost zero. I mean, there'll always be rich people who will, buy stuff, but then people like point to the fact it's like, oh well, COVID, that was like it's like, well, not, there was a spike in unemployment but people still paid, and then it wasn't really, everything ballooned in price, housing, stocks, everything went up, collectibles. So really wasn't a recession, an actual true one. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to find somebody who's around in like 2008 to like in this hobby who has like
Rusty.
can like say what happened, like actual like an on the ground person who had was like buying and selling a whole lot and like could see, what was happening. But it's tough because the people around in that time were like a very few handful and they already had a big position. They don't really care, it's like Gary or somebody. It's like he didn't, you know, he wasn't panic selling probably Pokemon cards. So he didn't really care what the price was. Um, but yeah, be interesting to have somebody who knows that.
I feel like people who don't think it's gone to zero or could go to zero just don't remember that time you were just talking about. Because I think, as you're saying, Gary probably wasn't panic selling or anything, but he probably wasn't buying either. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? He probably
right.
wasn't buying that era of Pokemon heavily. He'd already done that with Watsy. He's like moved on because
Yeah.
like everyone in the world moved on and nobody wanted anything to
Yeah.
do with Pokemon. And
Yeah.
now everyone does, and it's like the coolest thing. Like, I mean, I question. I wonder if there are kids in high school now who like wouldn't get ridiculed for saying that they collected Pokemon cards, where it would not be like a social suicide essentially to say that you were a Pokemon collector, like it would have been back in high school in our days. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it wouldn't have been or shouldn't have been, but I think you and I can both agree that if we walked into a party and they're playing beer pong there in 2006 or whatever it is, and you're like, hey guys, I got the newest Charizard EX from EX Dragon here.
Yeah.
You guys want to see? They're gonna look over at you. They're gonna give you the Sufi from the newest Dane Cook, that they just watched,
Yeah.
and they're gonna drink their natty ice and throw the beer can at you, and say, "Get out of here, you nerd!" At least that's what I think I would have gotten probably in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't, yeah, it
Wasn't
was,
Pokemon atmosphere back then. Let's just say that.
no, it
But today,
wasn't.
though, today it might be. I bet you there are some kids who could walk into school with their binder and not be ridiculed. It's a
Yeah.
different world.
It's also a weird, it's so social media driven and a lot of these like, um, it's a lot more money driven too. And it's like, it's always been cool to have money, right?
Yeah,
It's never not been cool to have money ever especially for kids or
the
teenagers.
dawn of time, it's
Yeah.
been cool
Yeah.
to have money. Yeah,
Never. So I think now, especially with like sports cards and Pokemon cards, a lot of people are making money at it. They're making like a little side hobby. And I think that kind of also makes it a lot more acceptable for these because they're kind of making some extra cash inside. And like I said, there's people who are I see it in like chats and discords and they're doing this full time and they're like 18, 19, you know, and it's there's nothing
impressive,
uncool.
honestly. Like when I
Yeah.
was 18 and 19, I was working at fucking Starbucks.
Yeah.
Straight
Yeah.
up, like making.
Yeah.
I was a partner at Starbucks, and I
Yeah.
hated my life.
Yeah. I was probably I was working on a golf course. But Yeah, probably like Texas Roadhouse, like sweeping up the peanuts, or I was at Panera Bread.
Like imagine making $500 on a flip when you're 19
Yeah,
years
it's
old.
not it's
I
not
couldn't imagine that.
it's
It's like,
game over. It's
yeah,
game
that's
over.
2-3 weeks of working. Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
game over. It's
Yeah.
like
And one
I'm
flip? No,
yeah.
no. What do you mean?
Yeah.
That's
I
my
am not.
tax return, sir.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. I'm not working that job anymore, you know?
No,
I'm doing
no.
that. Like
What are you talking about?
why wouldn't I?
You're not gonna listen to Mr. Catch 'em All Collectibles and do the respectable thing and go back to working that minimum wage job. Sir, you are irresponsible and the tax man's gonna come for you.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Honestly.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
was
you're right.
channeling my inner Dan there. My bad.
Yeah. Given financial advice.
Yeah,
Give me
he
some
gives the
tax
best
advice.
financial advice.
He gives the best financial advice
Yeah, I should
ever.
link his channel down below for
Yeah.
financial advice.
And
I
put
won't put his name. I'll just put financial advice guy.
then put at IRS
Yeah, exactly.
just to make sure they're aware that he's a really good financial advisor and tax
Middle
advice.
name. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if I did that, like no, of course I would be doing that. Because especially when you're 18 or not, what are your bills?
Yeah.
Like you have zero. So
You
it's
might
like,
have a cell phone bill. You
yeah,
might. You
yeah,
maybe. You might have to
yeah,
pay your own cell phone bill.
yeah, I know. So once again, it's like, well, why not? Why would I not be doing these, plays and and everything. So yeah, I mean,
It
I
took
didn't,
me
like I
until
said,
I was 30 years old to find Pokemon and make it profitable. So I'm like, geez,
yeah,
that 12 years earlier, that'd be brilliant.
yeah, I started this in 2017. I was 30.
Mhm.
Like I was 30 years old. That's when I started. Like I see these people, it's like, wow, you have a lot of like Cam's 26. Like he's 4 more years until I started. So it's like these people who are in it who are learning how to run businesses and flip and like if you learn how to flip and negotiate, they don't teach negotiating in school. They don't teach flip, you could do that to anything. There's always, arbitrage in everything. There are people that'll go to like a Target and go to a clearance bin and they'll find these things for 50 cents they're throwing out, throw it on eBay for $9.99. I mean, there's so much, out there. So yeah, I think there's going to be a new generation that really knows uh how to do all this pretty efficiently, and when we first started, it was just like, oh, Rusty's doing it full time. That's awesome. It's really, and it's like, oh, is SM Pratt's doing that? There's really like just like literally like a handful of people who are doing it full time. Now there's a lot of people doing it full time, but I think has potential to where it's going to exponentially get even more. There's going to be another like big base of people who are going to be kind of just doing this as a full time thing, and
I mean, you've started employing people. Travis from Going Twice, whom we talked about this earlier, employs I think like 7 or 8 other streamers like in
yeah,
his platform, and I've seen him grow. Like I've literally watched Travis Going Twice. So he used to be the only one at Going Twice. He would stream every one of his whatnot streams from a new hotel room in a new city as he drove across the country during COVID, buying out local game stores that were like shut down. He would go to them, buy out all the inventory, put it on whatnot at the hotel room, go to the post office that night, ship it out, and go to the next game store. And he would do streams as he was on the road driving. It was the funnest thing to watch because it would be like a partial like comedy show with him, like road show, like him on the road with like in a van, literally just you could tell he hadn't showered in like days, just grinding it out. And now he's got like 7 or 8 people working for him, and he now probably doesn't stream like that anymore. Like I don't hardly ever I see him stream his biggest box breaks sometimes, like when he
yeah.
wants to. Now I see him on a beach all the time with his shirt halfway open and a big gold chain with his Charizard on it, surrounded by pseudo celebrities, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
that's the life he lives now. And for a long time he was just a dude grinding it out, in hotel rooms, going from in a van from shop to shop, buying them out and selling them online. So You can
Yeah.
absolutely see like these bases built, and I don't think he's going anywhere, and I don't think going twice is going anywhere. And like I think that they have a great thing going for them too, like just a constant, constant source of just buying and selling. Um,
Yeah.
so
And
kudos to
it's
Travis
yeah.
for that.
It's definitely it's a it's a different life employing people, you know. They kind of become I don't want to say the corporate speak, like a part of the family, you know, but you do have people that are like, now it's not just like you are now taking care of more people that are relying on you to bring in business so that they can, you know, provide for their. So it's definitely a different thing, and it's definitely a risk, but it definitely has a lot of rewards too. And you know, you could just do this full time, you know, you don't have to scale that much, you know, to even make a, you know, decent living. Like there's, like I said, like Rusty could scale so much bigger, but he doesn't. He's like, I'm fine doing this, you know, like, you know, I've told like Nick, like he's freaking sorting card, like he got a card sorter finally, but he's still just working just nonstop all the time, you know, doing these little like dollar cards on it. I'm like, just get an employee to do those bulk like menial grunt labor that you're doing, you know, and just kind of do more big picture and, you know, save you a little time. He's like, oh no, I just like, you know, grind. He's like, I don't want to employ. Dan's like, doesn't want, you know, so, and they're,
I would not want an employee either.
yeah,
Like the thought of an employee literally gives me shivers down because I did this gig to not have to have more responsibility. And like you said, if I employed someone else, I'd feel such a sense of responsibility towards that because, like you said, they rely on you for their family then,
yeah,
and you do have to have that level of like, so I kudos to anyone who does because I totally respect it and I understand that level of responsibility. So
yeah, it is a different, but it can, yeah, it does have its benefits as well. You don't really have to, like I used to be just like you were saying, like travel, like he was working all the time, like literally travel doing, it's like I was working all the time. Now I can have, you know, time at night and time, you know, not to working all weekend. And that's definitely a benefit as well. You can only have a no work life balance for so long, you know, then you kind of realize, there's, you know, it's not just you gotta put a little more, you know, focus on other stuff. So, um, but yeah, it just depends on how big you really want to scale it, you know, and there's a lot of opportunity for, you know, there's a lot of smart people who are in there, you know, 18, 19, 20 who could be huge, you know, down the line. So it's pretty exciting to see, you know, the growth of the hobby. And a lot of these people, like some are doing like some of them are just breaking packs, some of them are just doing modern. Like some of them aren't even touching vintage, which for me it's like, how's that even, you know, I've been so left you know, behind on that flipping game. But yeah, like you said, like uh, 10 or so minutes ago, you were like, there's so many avenues. There's just so many different avenues, you know, in this thing to like still like it, you know, have a passion for it. But there's so many different ways you can, you know, make some money, you know, be it full time, be it scale up to however many, you know, employees you want, or just kind of a side thing, you know, you do it an hour a day, you ship some packages, you know, you're doing a full time job, but it's like, hey, here's some extra to do whatever. I mean, I started this just to have a couple extra dollars to like to go on a, you know, date night or something every week and have a free, you know, free meal, you know. Um, and that could just be good enough, you know. Uh, but yeah, pretty cool to see all these different businesses coming out of it.
do you see the hobby still being here in 10 years from now? And I guess if so, do you still see yourself growing and being a part of it? Or you think you would have cashed out by then and moved on to bigger and better things? Do you have some secret business that you're planning and out, in 5 years on the dot, you're gonna cash out all your chips and go start that shrimping business.
Shrimping business. Uh, yeah, definitely. There's so much money in it right now. Like I was saying before, that it's tough to see not. be around in 10 years. Like, I mean, there are dead TCGs. It's still people like do niche plays in, that people still buy and sell and grade like this weird stuff. Even if it gamed out of that point, there still would be a section. I don't see it going really anywhere, which I mean, I could, like, from an outsider, like saying like, oh yeah, that could definitely die. It's a freaking drawn cartoon kids game, like if I was just an outsider, but someone who is, you know, doing millions of dollars of sales on eBay and this stuff that's not even that rare being sold all the time, never not having a bid. And it's like, there's just too much money out there. It's too much of an ecosystem to where, if it started declining right now, it would probably take a decade to like get to that point, just to keep going down. Now, at the same time, you know, could I see everything going to zero? Yeah, I could see anything. I could see anything going to zero. Um, but I mean, in 2008, houses went for like in Phoenix, where I lived for the past 10 years now. I'm in Flagstaff, but I mean, there were houses that were going for like $15,000, that are now worth 600,000, but they were worth nothing. You get a house for as much as a base and unlimited booster box. So if housing can go down to, I mean, you are approaching zero at $15,000 for a freaking house.
Yeah, and you don't
Yeah.
even want to know what base set booster boxes are selling at that moment in time.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
houses in Phoenix were 15 grand, those were dark times in Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Rusty put out some video like unlimited base set boxes were like 30, $20 or something. I can't remember what year that was, but it was,
You
yeah.
want to hide it in your backpack when you buy it for that price. You don't want anyone to see
Yeah.
that because otherwise you're
Yeah.
going to get laughed at.
Yeah. Yeah. So it could definitely, I'm not going to say it can't die, but there's so much money in it right now that, and so many people that have money in it that, it's tough to see it dying in 10 years. As for me, I am building this to where, um, I do see myself around in some capacity in 10 years. Um, my goal would be like from 2017 to 2027, like a 10-year time frame for this whole business. So like my whole 30s. So when it's 2027, I'll be 40. I want to grow this to a point where it kind of just becomes, part of the machine. We're doing, every single aspect of service. There are other services that I have, in the pipeline to where it's not just the marketplace, could be graded, could be sealed, just kind of be a whole one-stop shop, multiple employees, and then still be in it, but I really want to just kind of want to disappear, when I'm 40. So, that's about 6 years in. So about 4 years from now, I don't see me being on YouTube. I don't see me being on any social media in then. Still have running the business, I still might go to like, see in person, like go to convention or obviously be a part of the company that I build. But my goal for that kind of 10-year time frame in my 30s would be to just kind of disappear. I'm not kind of the person who um as a business grows, I don't want to become more public. There's some people who, like I think another auction house like Golden Auctions. I think Ken Golden likes this. I think Ken Golden likes the spotlight the more popular he is. I would not be that person. I would just kind of I would rather just kind of disappear, let it run, and kind of do my own thing. So that's my kind of goal in my mind. But I'll still be a part of it in some way. I don't think it'll ever leave. My daughter will love anytime we'll go to Target and there'll be like a little display of Scarlet and Violet, will be Pikachu on there, or there'll be like a plushie and she'll be like Pikachu, like she's a fan. and
It's in her
I didn't
blood.
even,
That's
yeah,
the point.
and she knows Bulbasaur and Charmander and Squirtle. She knows the Gen 1. She knows the starters.
The
She's
important ones.
she's already a
Yeah.
boomer. Yeah, she's already got that mentality. She knows those four. I don't think she knows any other names. She knows, yeah,
She'll be
Bulbasaur,
knowing
Charmander.
Cosmos Hollow,
Yeah,
base set
right.
first print,
Yeah, fourth print.
fourth print,
Yeah,
1999, 2000,
yeah,
Ancient Muse, the best card ever. Yeah,
yeah.
she'll be well versed by the time she's talking.
Yeah. So I don't yeah, I don't see it really leaving an aspect. Lauren just likes opening modern packs, which I don't really care about opening modern at all, honestly. But she
Shiny
does, and
cards, shiny cards.
yeah, shiny cards. But yeah, I don't see it leaving. But for me, this business, I would, the whole goal has been multiple tiers, and uh the first 3 years was just kind of building trust. And, that's kind of should be the foundation of, I think, most long-term businesses. You build kind of a trustworthy brand and identity, and then you can build certain services off that. And then, kind of just want to let it become its own, entity and machine. And then I'll kind of disappear into the wilderness. So, but I'll still be part of it, but just probably not so like creator, you know, focused. But yeah,
It's funny how some people's victim or vision of success is disappearing into the sunset, and others is being that huge, like bright, like you said,
yeah,
that growing. So
yeah,
definitely see that. But I mean, that's really cool, and I can't say I disagree with that. There's so many businesses invested in the hobby, and there are so many people and so much money invested in it that at least for the short term, it would be hard to see it all going directly to zero quickly, at
yeah,
least. And as far as the long term is concerned, like you mentioned with your daughter, the generations behind us, our generation, are already hooked. It's like our generation may have that initial nostalgia there that we call it the OG nostalgia, but who's to say that like that joy that your daughter feels when she sees Pikachu for at the Scarlet and Violet Pikachu or whatever isn't the same joy that we felt when we were kids. Like just because it's 19 generations later or whatever, who
yeah,
cares? Like so I think there's definitely something to be said for those other generations strengthening it. And there's no other IP that I go over to someone when I talk to, them about it that can share both, the direct next generation and then the generation after that. And then even grandparents knowing and appreciating, like, oh yeah, we didn't do that when we were kids, but we like the Pikachus. We like
hmm,
the little Pikachus. They're good. We remember them from the 90s with the
yeah,
beanie babies,
yeah,
So it has such multi-generational and continued faceted interest that it definitely has a staying power that these little animated figures, it does have something special to it, it seems like.
yeah. It's definitely multi, and that's what's really propelled sports for all these years too. Like I said, like it's multi. You share, memories with, your parents and their grandparents, and it's just kind of a shared thing. And especially with ice, it's helpful that the IP is very, there's like cool dragon types, and then there are cute little plushy things, and it kind of,
There's
span.
battles and there's
It's
exploration and then the anime. So yeah, it has the
yeah,
multifaceted elements of it.
yeah, and
The competitive element.
it does really pull in kids, and that's really where the most nostalgia comes from, and can really, you know, uh, really kind of create that multi-generational thing. I mean, I don't think well, there probably are, maybe if Ruxin has a kid, but there's not, is there like Yu-Gi-Oh people? It's like, oh, like Dark
Blue Eyes
Magician
White
Girl. Yeah,
Dragon.
blue. I don't think
Jinzo.
yeah, I don't think that I
Dark
don't think that
Magician Girl.
yeah,
Patty.
yeah. I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's, or like Magic the Gathering pointing to, whatever,
Black
something that's,
Lotus.
yeah,
What?
yeah. I don't think that's happening. So it's a
Truth of
definitely
Finn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely just a different. It's a card game, but it has just an appeal that is not in other, IPs. It just doesn't. So whatever they did, they did it right. So and now they're just printing money every single time. So good for them. Good for everybody else.
Until Lorcana comes out and they have a real competition with another IP of a
Uh,
powerhouse.
yeah,
Just kidding,
that's
Lorcana. That's a whole nother podcast, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Will Z and G Emporium be accepting Lorcana cards
As long
for
as they're
auction?
graded. As long as they're graded.
Oh, I'm positive. Okay, well you heard it
Yeah.
here first, folks. Before Lorcana takes over the business, he said he's taking them. Flood them,
Graded
baby, flood them.
graded TCG. Yeah, we've done just about all of them. I can't think of, twice Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. There's been a lot of weird one, Card Fight. Yeah, there's a lot of
There's
different
more
stuff.
coming out too.
Digimon.
There's several Kickstarters. I was involved with one that still hasn't come out yet. That's coming down the line.
Yeah.
Several.
Yeah. It's funny I said all that and then I didn't mention MetaZoo. That's how low they are.
Say nobody buys it anymore. It's like
Yeah.
even Rudy has been talking about how low sell-through rate of his MetaZoo. And when Rudy's talking about low sell-through rate of MetaZoo, nobody's buying it.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
right.
like
Yeah.
that guy, he'll make you believe that it's still, popular no matter what. But
I know. I think I heard like Dan was selling wilderness boxes for like 20 or $25 or
he
something
said
like
he
that.
sold it for 20 at a loss, but he said he said
Yeah.
25 was a break even, which is no,
Nah,
that's
that's no
darkness.
bueno. Yeah, that's
Darkness.
dark. Yeah,
That is
that's
dark.
really dark.
That's
Yeah.
I don't want to do the math. My ape mind, it can't think of the math, but that's less than $1 a booster pack. There's still
That's
36 packs in it. I don't want
that's
to think about what that actually comes out to per pack.
yeah.
So
And I still, yeah, I
I'd
still
rather
wouldn't.
just throw it at a kid and like as hard as I could as they walk by, just like threw it like at their legs and just kidding. I would never
Here's the
do that.
thing. Would you rather have a $20 wilderness booster box or $10 cash?
That's a tough bargain.
Yeah.
That's a tough
Yeah.
because you might not be able to get $10 cash for the wilderness
Yeah.
booster boxes
Yeah. Yeah, you
if
got to
you
ship
needed
it.
it in a bind. You
Yeah.
couldn't walk into a 7-Eleven
Nope.
and be like, "Hey, I need that Coke and a whatever, a hot dog, or I'm
Yeah.
dying of thirst and hunger, and I need
Yeah.
take this wilderness box." They wouldn't take it. They
If you had a
probably
wilderness
wouldn't.
box, how long would it take you in a collecticon if you're like, okay, wilderness box is $25? How many people would you have to walk up to before they take it?
That is a proposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on who you are. If you have
That's
a
a you.
level of desperation in your voice,
Yeah.
you're gonna get down to $10 before you sell it. But if you are, a whatnot streamer, you're
Mhm.
gonna get you're gonna start at 25, you're gonna probably be up to 45 by the time you're done with that thing.
That's a
It's gonna
YouTube
start an
short.
auction, a live auction right there.
Yeah.
$25.
That's a
Anyone? 25? Oh, we have 26. 26 over here. Sorry, sir. 26. A booster box. $26, sir. There's a less than $1 a pack. Well, shit, I'll pay $1 a pack. $36 right there, sir. And then there you go. That's a live
oh my
whatnot
God.
stream.
$1 a pack or less. No. Yeah, less.
Don't
Literal
tell
cents.
Dan. Don't tell
Cents a
Dan.
pack.
He's rich enough. He doesn't need to know the hack for selling his
Yeah.
wilderness packs.
I think he has hundreds of boxes.
Yeah, so we
I
can't
think.
tell him.
Yeah.
We put ourselves at a competitive disadvantage by giving him that money.
Which is that like one of his rare losses? If he got it from a partner, like distributor, his partner pricing can't be, it has to be more than $25. He got this for.
I
Has
hope
to be.
I hope it is. If partner prices are less than $25,
Yeah.
then what are we doing here? What's going on here? How is anyone selling for a loss at any partnership? Like, I don't care if map prices or not. Like,
Yeah.
it's got to be more than that.
Mike from MetaZoo comes to you and says, I will give you as many wilderness boxes as you will take. Okay. And they're $25 a piece. What do you say? I'll take 0.
Meta what?
Meta,
Sorry.
yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
Who are you? Oh, sorry. Is that
Uh,
the new Flesh and Blood set?
yeah. Just,
That's what I asked him. Is that the new Flesh and Blood set?
Oh man. I'm sure he's still doing well. They're still giving out tens of thousands of dollars in prizes for.
Their next set is going to be the launch of their online client for they're putting code cards in every pack of the next set, and it's going to have the first 4 or 5 sets all mixed in because those sets didn't have code cards so that their client can operate. So I think that alone will give it some interest, and I personally think that that's really cool for MetaZoo that they're actually moving to a online client so that the players can play and practice against other players and scan in a code when they buy a pack. And they're taking a code out of Pokemon's playbook there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. I think that that's a really big step for that brand, and I like to give MetaZoo a hard time here,
Me too.
but I will say that's cool for them. So good for them on that. I don't know how it works, but we'll have to hear about it from our friend Basic Trainer.
Yeah.
He'll tell us
Yeah.
all about it whether we want it or not. So
He's one of the like 200 MetaZoo card players on Earth.
oh, there's
So,
not 200. Come on, that's generous.
oh, okay. Less. I thought I was already lowballing it.
I
All
mean,
right.
there's probably at least a dozen people he can find to play at a Collecticon.
Right. So he's like definitely he probably will be part of the prize pool just based off of like numbers alone.
Yeah, well, I think the MetaZoo is like a participation prize kind of game. So
Yeah.
I think anyone who competes gets some sort of a trophy card. That's why they're not really worth anything, I think. But that eventually, for a long time, Magic was just thrown away. Literally,
True.
all the Alpha cards just thrown away, and now Alpha Black Lotus is what, millions of dollars or something. I mean,
Yeah,
who knows?
that's true. Probably not though. Probably won't be a
So by that
Magic.
logic, something has to be thrown away for it to ever be really valuable. So therefore, MetaZoo is really getting a head start because a lot of that's being thrown away.
Yes.
So
There
they're
you go.
really going to be really valuable someday. Is that sort of the math that I'm working out here?
Yeah, I'm Cam bought a box at Long Beach Wilderness. I think it was when the Wilderness box for like $50.
Oh man, he got
And
ripped off.
yeah, he opened it on the floor. I like opened some packs with him, like on the floor, got nothing. And then he tried to find a kid to give the MetaZoo all the cards to. And he literally it took a long time for him to find a kid who would want free an entire box of MetaZoo
Oh
cards.
my god.
But he found one. Seemed like the parent was a little more excited because they were in line for MetaZoo. But yeah. Yeah, I
Man,
like to rib on him too, but
what a world. Like I
whatever.
think people in the TCG world love to hate MetaZoo just because it's just such low hanging fruit, you know what I mean?
It is.
It's like the lowest hanging fruit. Like, it's on the ground already.
It's
It's
on
already
it's on the
rotting.
ground.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
literally
literally
already
on the
rotting on
ground.
the ground. It's kind of kicking it along.
Yeah.
Someone's still eating it though. It's crazy. Some
Someone's
people
still eating it.
they
Someone's
still
still
like
eating it.
that, that that's for somebody though.
Do you think Basic Trainer did it as a joke and now he's so deep in the joke that he literally has to keep it going and
Like
he
for our friendship to stay good, I have to say no, but
yeah.
yes.
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 Yeah. I
Yes.
think yeah, I think so too. I think he's taking it too far and he's too deep down the rabbit hole and he just has to keep going,
well,
you know? Yeah.
now he's actually good at like at MetaZoo, so it's like he's really caught at this point. So
Yeah, he's done. Yeah. He has to keep going until it dies, which it might.
well, it's until it does something. So
Yeah. Right. Anything. Please just
anything.
do anything.
Okay,
Please.
just
Yeah, please.
do something.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to ask because we have gotten to a pretty good point here, and I think it's a good point too. But if you could have any Pokemon, we're gonna start winding it down here, and I always have to ask every guest on the channel this question, and it's maybe a silly question, but Ash had Pikachu, right, as a partner Pokemon. If you had to have one Pokemon as like a partner Pokemon, did you ever think about like, is there one that you would want growing up, or one that you think would be useful? What would it be? Because I think it says a lot about someone.
Partner. Now, I was gonna say something like, like Gyarados, but he's way too big. That'd be weird. Has to be something that's at least.
He
Hold on, let me
flies
see.
though, so like I mean, it'd be big, but he does fly.
Let me
So
see. Let me see how tall this one Pokemon is because it's okay.
some of
He's
the
pretty.
weights and the
He's
heights of Pokemon that they list just don't make any sense. Like Tyranitar, he's way too
that's
short.
that's that's exactly what I was looking up.
Oh my
Was
god, Tyranitar,
Tyranitar?
no.
Yeah.
He's like way too short
No.
and way too heavy to be realistic. It's like
Yeah.
what? It's
He's actually
awkward.
not. He's actually he's. Well, no. It says there Omega. Okay. It says
He's
he's
like
six
six
seven.
feet.
Says
Huh?
6'7".
Yeah, he's like
400,
6 feet tall.
445 pounds.
That's a pretty small dinosaur, man. That's not very.
Y-
I know guys who are the bigger than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably that was my favorite Pokemon and like Pokemon stuff. He was my guy. Raised him to level 100. Uh I just thought it was cool. He was dark and type and ground. Loved Earthquake, Crunch.
Pseudo legendary. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was probably my now I like the quirky Sudowoodo because he was also I liked ground types and rock types. So, he was like it's like a tree, but he was just so stupid. The Snorlax of Gen 2, you couldn't get past him. I liked him a lot. So probably just like, probably Sudowoodo because he's just so stupid. It's so dumb. And
He
it's
has
just
water gun. He could still use a pretty useful like water gun would be useful.
how big is Sudo? I have a feeling he's not very big.
He might be heavier than Tyranitar, just
Yeah.
judging by like how
Yeah.
weird Pokemon logic is with like their weights and heights. Like,
Oh no. So see, this would be a perfect companion. It's 3'11",
okay,
84 pounds.
oh, that's
It's like a
perfect.
dog. It's
Yeah,
like a
it's like a
dog.
little walking dog. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
A
So
little
that'd
stupid
probably be it.
walking dog. It just says
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah. So it's a stupid walking. Yeah. That's a stick, you know? Yeah,
Oh my
that'd be
gosh.
perfect. Yeah.
Some people want something they could use. Some people say like a useful, powerful Pokemon. Z and G Emporium wants Pseudo
Nah, I don't need Aerodactyl or Mewtwo or,
Dragonite
Tyranitar.
to like a messenger, like fly around under Dragonite, nothing like that. You don't want
No,
Charizard,
no,
no.
no. Charizard. Oh, has anybody on the podcast said Charizard?
They actually haven't. They
Okay,
surprisingly haven't.
good,
I
good.
I'm trying to think back if anyone said like I want my partner. No, actually no one has.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that would probably be the lamest answer to say Charizard. It would be the lamest one.
I feel bad for that person who went back who did say Charizard that I just can't remember. It's like they're listening to this, so like
Yeah.
unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Speaking of
Snorlax
which,
would.
you're inching closer to 9.6 or 9.5 thousand every day. What is it?
Yeah, we're at 9.6 again.
Nice,
I
nice.
think for the fifth time.
Oh, cool.
It's
Congratulations,
nice. We like go
congratulations.
back. We go back.
So now being on my large channel, you might get to 9.5. You know, get down
Okay,
there.
9 point. Yeah, I still am. Yeah, it's still a little bit of ways to 9.5, but
With
we'll
my help,
start.
with
Yeah,
my
we'll
help,
do
we'll
the
get you
we'll
there.
do the march. We'll do the march back to 19.7.
You ever think that maybe it's just not enough yelling, or maybe it's like if you just
I
ah
I actually think it's probably just I need to put out something of quality. I think that's probably it. Or quantity, which I don't do either.
quantity
Yeah,
or quality.
quantity or quality.
Usually it's one or the other. You can do both.
Yeah. Or both. I mean, one of the three. I'm not doing any of the three. I'm doing quantity, quality, or both. So,
No,
it
I'm
occasionally,
enjoying the lives though. They're the live streams are very, very fun. Like just listening to the stories that you can drag out of Cam is a gift. It's a gift.
yeah,
Some of the experiences that man has gone through is just
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Well,
we haven't all had those experiences. So
no, no, we haven't. No, we really haven't. Yeah, we'll get another 100 subscriber bump to 19.7 occasionally because Rusty will like shout out the channel because he's like the most avid watcher of the podcast.
he
If you'll see
really
the comment,
is.
if you see
Yeah,
the comments, look
yeah.
at the comments of any podcast. He has like 10 comments, every single one.
He responds to all the
He
ones you
responds
don't.
to every single, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I built the this," or it's like, "Oh, here's what I ate today." And like he is the
Bless
most
his
commented.
heart for
Yeah,
him writing down his whole schedule every day
yeah,
of meals for
yeah.
our pleasure.
He keeps us at 19.6 and then afloat. He pushes it back and then it dies, and then so I need another bump from him, if he's watching this podcast, which you might. So
He watches a lot of, I mean, Rusty, I would be honored if he watched some of my podcasts, but he does watch some random YouTube stuff, so I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised
yeah,
if he
yeah,
found his way in here as he was listing eBay, so shout
yeah,
out Rusty if you're listening to eBay auctions here and you're listening to this podcast. We appreciate you as always.
yeah,
We're gonna keep on doing our thing and you keep on doing yours.
yeah, right. uh,
But yeah, that's I mean, hey, Pseudo Wudo, man. Somebody's gotta say Pseudo Wudo. I'm glad it
Somebody's got to
was
say it.
finally there. There's a lot of Pokemon out here. And this a lover for one of I maybe my shiny Pseudo Wudo PSA 10 Hidden Fates slab is not gonna sit dusty in a corner forever.
Well, I'd want a PSA 1 though, you know, the true grail.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. 1 is better than 10, right? Number 1.
Well, in that card for sure. I mean, how many tens are there? There's probably like 1,000 PSA 10s, and
1,000.
how many ones? There might not even be one.
Yeah.
So
Maybe not.
that's a great. There may never be one. So you never know.
Yeah.
Now, how did this turn into the PS? This is the third time we've showed PSA ones here. This is too easy. It's like
This dude.
shooting fish in a bucket.
It's crazy, honestly. I mean,
Okay.
we sold a PSA 1 Charizard for like 200 something dollars, and we also
Yeah.
sold a PSA 6 for $200.
Yeah, that tracks. We have a PSA 1 base set Charizard that we just sold for $225 privately. And I have a PSA 5. I'm sorry, it was a PSA 1 Dark Charizard Unlimited that sold for 150, and I have a PSA 5 first edition Dark Charizard that can't sell for $200 flat. And it's a first edition 5, but my unlimited 1
Yeah.
sold for 150. Can you I can't. I'm not smart enough for that kind of big
Yeah.
math. So
Yeah.
that's not what I get paid for.
I do regret when the times of Craigslist buying, when I didn't just buy, I was like, it needs to be mint, and that like they were selling dirt cheap Watsy hollows that were like, 6th condition for like, cents. And it was like I could have just gotten those, crumpled them up, make them all ones, and they're worth $100, or more.
Well, the thing is, the old card shop wasn't around back then to make it famous and popular to collect ones.
Yeah,
Because if it wasn't for, this whole thing making it popular, I don't know if the PSA ones would ever be a thing. So
that's true. I mean,
it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy that needed, myself here. No, just kidding. I mean, the ones it doesn't make sense, and it's just it's a
I mean, you talk
funny.
about plays. I mean, people who are selling lots of beat up Watsy cards that go for like less than $1 a card. You buy them, crumple them up, get a PSA 1 on all of them.
Good thing
$15
this is
grading fees.
recorded. We can edit that out.
Yeah.
Come
$15
on,
grading.
man.
You are making well over that,
That's for the paywall, all right?
Yeah,
That's for
that's for
the
the pay.
paywall.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well,
$69 a month, all right?
yeah.
Yeah, $69.69 a month. That's
It's
all. We've done pretty good. We've done pretty good as far as what the questions are that I wanted to hit in this interview. But I guess that being said, there's still one last question that I haven't asked that I tried to get to at one point, and it sort of caps up the type of collector or whatever, and it's a great way to finish. But I guess a good way to wrap it up this time, though, is I do like to ask, what is the one item in this hobby? If you could have one item that you could just have to own and never sell, or it would never be possible to resell. What is one thing that you would want? And it doesn't have to be Pokemon, but bonus points if it is Pokemon. But is there like a collectible item that you feel like, or even if it's like a piece of art that you'd want to own, like a Mona Lisa or something? But
I don't know I don't know. I mean, the answer I should say is like one of those like prototype.
You've already
You know,
owned the base set first edition box, so it's kind of like it's tough.
yeah, yeah. Which, yeah, I don't know. It'd probably be well, non-Pokemon.
Oh,
It'd be the
oh,
melee,
hold
which I
on.
already.
You're muted there.
Oh, oh, better. No, can you hear me? Can you hear me? No,
Uh-oh.
can you hear me? No, yeah, no.
Well, we back?
Can you
No,
hear me?
no.
No,
I think you ran out of battery. Oh no.
no. It says battery.
Oh no. Okay. Well, chat, folks, YouTube. Literally, we got to the last question here. We're gonna let
Yeah.
James try to figure out if he can get his battery working again or something. But it looks like he's turned into a mime here. So James says the one thing he would want in the hobby, what? An unlimited, an unlimited MetaZoo booster box, the second edition, not even the Kickstarter, the second edition, and then the Wilderness first edition, the packs, the blister packs,
Case.
the ones that come that you can't even give away.
Case.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I know that's insane. So you all heard it. James wants his one thing in the hobby is a second edition MetaZoo booster box, not the Kickstarter. Yep, no, we have the second edition one. Yeah, and then one of the I might have one of his grails. No, those are booster boxes. That's a whole booster box of Wilderness. We can't. No. He wants just a couple packs. So, well, okay, that's a good way to finish. Okay, but well, everyone, I appreciate you guys for coming through. If you did stick around for this long, thank you. Links down below to Z&G Emporium's eBay, which is what we're trying to grow, but also the YouTube. We want to get that YouTube to 9.6 eventually, maybe 9.7, maybe.
Yeah.
We'd be happy with 20K. 20K would be fantastic.
Let's.
If all 5 of you guys go and subscribe to him right now, we might possibly get to the next couple of okay. Well, we probably won't get anywhere. By
Okay.
this
Yeah.
time, you're losing subscribers.
Yeah.
But everyone who has come and listened, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We will be back with another episode here very soon. You're going to see a lot more of the old card shop. You're going to probably see a lot more of James at Z&G as well. I'm going to speak for him and say he's going to make more podcasts, and it's going to get spicier and spicier until we have to pour a gallon of milk all over everything, because that's what we do here. And thanks again for coming, everyone. We'll see you guys on the next one. And until then, stay safe out there.